Welcome back. Hey, and my recording worked on the first go this time. Welcome back to Monster Monday, the Cryptic Kabal, Season 2, Session 46, at Hell's Doorstep. You'll have to excuse me for those listening at home. I have a bit of heartburn, so you might hear me burping every so often. I'm trying to avoid that, but there's only so much you can do when you eat a lot of food. So, with that, as we get into a session, the year is 65,008, the month unknown, the day unknown, and the current time and more is still yet unknown. But as we rewind the clock for a moment, looking back on what happened last time, we look back and recall the party managing to seal a deal. There we go. Whew. As Captain Azurus, during between sessions, deciding what he would be willing to offer in exchange for not only his, but his crew's life. With this offer accepted, with a few different terms in mind, we find ourselves with Captain Azurus, Wara, Floorsnap, and about 12 of the formerly Frost Giant crew heading to Moors, thankfully with not much given up, as Captain Azurus would be offered a secondary deal to, on top of that, later once escaping Moors himself, an opportunity to hunt down and find his beloved. Oh, it was Troll, thank you. Frost Troll, it works, it's close enough. As the party then found themselves running about the desert, trying to find where they were at inside the great domain of Moors. With Floorsnap coming up with a plan that enticed Captain Azurus quite quickly, the trolls found themselves turning into something else. A creature similar to Floorsnap himself. But as the party found themselves beginning to do this, resting for a moment, a crew of guards were patrolling the area would suddenly come running after them, recognizing Wara as a prince of a foreign territory. Immediately thinking him to be here on a visit, the party was welcomed quite quickly as recognized members of nobility of sorts, as they found themselves heading back to the city with now a new escort and a little bit more information on what was going on and who ruled the lands. Now the party finds himself at an inn called, and let me pull up my name here, yes, the Village Eater, ran by Glutoro, an ancient giant who had been put in charge of it. Inside the room that had been silenced, or that has a beautiful silence spell on it, allowing the party to discuss. That seemed to be of the actual noble who Wara was pretending to be. As the party would quickly make a decision to begin planning out how to get out of Moors and escape as quickly as possible, as well as checking out the local quests in the area, Wara would quite quickly find themselves found out by the tavern owner, as he had been listening in on the whole thing. Though, thankfully, an understanding and interested individual, the party found themselves in a interesting and unique position. Deciding from there to go and look about the town and do as they had wished, we ended session quite shortly after as we returned back. Only about an hour since the last time the party had kind of headed out. Vicaret and Azurus inside, are hanging out in the room as Vicaret works away at kind of one of what looks to be one of the tables that has been kind of cracked up, recognizing the great wood used to make it and recognizing its magical properties. Wara and Floorsnap having headed out into the tavern to look about and looking for crew as well as any sort of quests that might interest them. The party has been sent the quests, I believe, ahead of time. I hope I remembered to do... Yes, I did remember to do that. Thank God. I was like, oh shit, if I forgot. And with the party, or with Floorsnap and Wara coming back with a single member that had impressed them a strange individual sitting alone in the tavern, and the only individual not seemingly wearing a sigil. If you would like to introduce what your character looks like.
I am a copper scale. Like I'm a big copper scale blizzard lady. Um, I do. I have long uh I have long hair. It's starting to turn green at the tips. Um, and weirdly, despite my copper scales, there's streaks of blue through them, and I have blue eyes, which is unusual for my species. Um, I am barely clothed. It seems like I just found some scraps of cloth and threw them over myself, so that way they would let me in the city. And then, if you had to guess, I probably had to kind of trial and error to figure out what they wanted me to cover up, because I don't seem to much care about people's opinions of me.
Like a wild Tarzan woman, kind of sitting at the bar, as you see her kind of basically drinking what looks to be this greenish liquid that kind of lights almost at the simplest snap of her teeth that seem to give a spark as she kind of drinks it down. Being the only person that caught your attention, Floor Snap and Wara, that seemed to be of their alone and not with the sigil upon them. As she sits there, kind of at the bar, looking over at you, kind of noticing you two as she looks about the tavern for a moment.
Yeah, and despite my ridiculous physique, I also have a staff, so it's presumable that I'm some kind of caster, or I beat people with a stick very violently.
She
But
does
either
hold.
is perfectly valid.
She does
Monk or
hold.
mage?
She does hold a staff with what looks to be a dragon's skull at the top of it and made of solid copper scales.
The bluing of with along the copper kind of reminds me of just like oxidized copper.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Ooh. As though Floorstep and War, as you see her, she kind of looks over at you. Glutara seems to kind of whisper something in her ear, and then kind of gives you two a bit of a wave, trying to get your attention to come over to him.
With a name like Glutara, with a name like Glutara, I imagine this guy is like fucking caked up all the time.
He
Like,
is.
His ass cheeks are just like fucking solid spheres.
Glued together even.
He is solid as hell as you look him up and down. This guy is very well muscled for an innkeeper, as you kind of get appearance. Given his mountain giant-like appearance, it's not unlikely that he is from a time period when he had to fight to survive, unlike the modern era that you guys live in. As though Glutoro kind of waves to you, Wara and Floorsnap. What were you saying? I apologize, I didn't catch that earlier.
Uncle, I'm gonna let you handle it.
Yeah, meeting new people. Yeah, right. I begin floating my wizardly way down over the cross-legged frog.
Glutoro kind of sees you doing this, you do it, and goes, Floorstep, I appreciate you coming over. I hope you don't mind the quests up there, but do be very careful of some of the higher ranked ones when you're looking for any work around here. You lot are definitely not ready for the elite efforts in these territories. But I understand you lot were looking for a guide, someone that was going to show you around, knew a bit more about some of the information around the territories, or at least could walk you about. Allow me to introduce you to a young lady who's been here, well, probably as long as I have. As he kind of looks over to her and holds his hand out for her to speak.
Hello, I'm Nara Perfect. I've been here for a while. I've been seeking my way to get out, and I've heard that your group have a similar interest, and perhaps the ability to do it.
Yeah, the second part is probably more unique. I don't imagine that many people want to stay.
You'd be surprised.
Glutoro looks
Like
at you.
table.
Yeah, I was saying, as you look about the tavern, and one more time for the name. It's Nara what? Make sure I get this right.
Nara Plafex.
Nara Plaflex. Okay, got you.
I'm typing that in our chat real quick.
As you look about, you do see there are people have been here for ages in some cases. I mean, there are races amongst them that look to be long since gone from the mortal plane. That have just existed here for as long as they've lived. Some, in fact, it seems more often than not, those who come to Moors don't typically try to leave because it's not rather worth it. Thank you for the pronunciation. Go ahead.
I can't wait for you to Dante's Inferno me and fucking meet people I've met before.
Hey, as from what you can tell, there's not a single slotty of this plane.
I guess that's fair.
But no,
Go to different places.
as Nara Plefex, as you look about, kind of seeing this, Glutara kind of smiles between the two of you and goes, "See, she's perfect for you. Introduce her to your captain, and please take her off my hand, as she owes me quite a big amount for the tab she's drank."
I give him a shrug.
As you can see, as he the lack realization, these two, the concept of money here isn't very much clued in on both parties here.
Yeah.
Dragon after my own heart. All right,
I give a
this
nod.
way. I, like, motion over to my nephew. I was like, "Well, time to retire."
I agree. We shall retire. In
Oh,
my
I remember when
room.
my dad retired. I look at the staff sadly.
Looking that staff up and down, Wara and Floor Snap, give me either a knowledge arcana or a knowledge history to see if you recognize this item at all. Or if you recognize Nara from her full name.
I've got an 18.
18?
So probably not.
Okay, that's not bad. Wara?
I rolled a 2, so...
Ah, never mind, that is bad. Never mind. I understand.
Here's my intelligence check.
Okay, I'll take that. Okay. Sadly, as you look at it, nothing kind of comes to mind immediately for what or who this person could be. It is a bit unique, as you haven't seen anyone that, to your knowledge, that has walked around with a staff made of dragon parts like this. Adventurers typically of that rank are really rare to find and usually very well known for what they carry, just because of the natural notoriety, like celebrities they are. This is an item that looks to be like something that should be known as you kind of look them up and down. They're kind of, as you think about this, either Nara's been here for quite a while, or she has a much more frightening tale to tell you.
The two stats that determine memory, I'm very bad at, so...
Yeah, that's fair. You know what, Wara? That's a fair point. Not surprising, as we've been in this land for less than a day. You know what? Yeah. As you lot begin to head back, kind of looking at the staff, Wara kind of proudly making it clear that he is a noble out loud, as he stated earlier, for all those to hear. Glutara going back to cleaning his jar as he kind of watches the three of you head back into the back area and into the room as you open up. Looking inside, as you see many of the trolls are in this what looks to be slimy cocoon made of what looks to be kind of a lily pads kind of covered over each other in a swampy moss that glues them together, as they seem to be slightly pulsating by feel but otherwise seem to be silent, thankfully. This, unfortunately, has been going on to Azurus and Vicaret's either disgust or amazement, depending on perspective, for about the good part of the last hour, or half hour, roughly, as they've been slowly morphing.
Hey, you guys ferment your trolls before you eat them?
Oh no, they're being reborn. It's a complex process for that.
Do you think being this taking place in Moors might have an effect on what they come out to be?
Yes and no. There's potential that they just get kicked out of wars entirely. This is a plane of law. I'm a creature of abject, pure spontaneity and chaos. There's a chance they just simply get rejected. On the other hand, they might absorb some of the essence of this place and become frightful in their own right.
You think
I'm hoping for the
potentially a lawful slotty? I'd like to see that.
Oh hell no! That's
As Floorsnap kind of hears this, the idea as it comes to mind of a perspective of a lawful evil slotty at that, begins to kind of remind you of something equative to like almost to a demon from the Century War, something that would like systematically begin to wipe out anything and everything just to gain more power. It almost goes against everything you can imagine personally, Floorsnap. There's no fun, there's no excitement. It's boredom in every way, which is exactly what Slotty are not.
yeah.
Eh.
I just kind of like shake my head. It's like, no, they rip themselves apart by their own essence, or I would. One of the two.
And who's this?
Oh, this is Nara. I can't get my tongue quite around the rest.
It's okay. It's draconic. Most people can't. I give Floorsnap a thumbs up.
As you give a scaly thumbs up, kind of smile, give a smile at that. The very sharp teeth clear of show battle and damage. Nara Plefex is definitely not a what looks to be weakened creature for someone from seemingly from Morse. She looks well fed and taken care of, and seems capable of defending herself. As you get a good look at her, Captain Azuris.
All right. Well, Nara, how long have you been here in this plane that we call Moors?
A while, a very long time.
All right, so you know this realm well then. You know the ins and outs, what we might be dealing with.
Yep. I give a confident nod.
All right then. Then let's talk about the jobs available to us. I'd like to know. I'm definitely curious about these the 4 jobs that we've taken an interest in. However, of course, I don't know much about the beasts of these lands. What do you know about the Sorrowsworn? I assume due to the high bounty that they might be something more than we can handle. But I'd like to know from
we don't want to fuck with those things.
I figured as much. Can you tell me about them though, just so that since we will be, traversing out there, even we're not seeking them out, that we might run across one.
So, there's like 10 or 11 different parties of hunters going after those things. And by going after, I mean they just wait in nearby inns and like bars and stuff like that in people's houses and drink them out of their wine until the Sorrowsworn start fighting each other. And then the hunters wait until the Sorrowsworn are done killing each other, and then they try really hard to kill the one that wins. Usually doesn't work though. I give Azuris a thumbs up, a confident thumbs up.
Okay.
The overconfidence of Azuris makes you believe every little bit of this just naturally. It seems she seems to be well versed in what she knows.
And if we are to happen to come across one out in the wilds doing other quests, how do we get away from it, avoid it?
Well, the good news about the Sorrowsworn is that typically, say for a few individuals, because again, they're individuals, they have like their own personalities and shit, you can see them coming. Because like, I don't know if you've looked out there before, it's a big desert, a lot of sunlight, not a lot of like gloom, so to speak. Well, the Sorrowsworn cause everything to become gloomy around them, from what I understand. That's what the hunters have been talking about at the bar all day, is how, like, if you feel a sudden chill, or, like, the sky starts to get a little cloudy, you should probably leave. Partly because of Sorrowsworn, partly because there's these creatures that like to chase the storm, and, wouldn't fuck with that either.
All right. Hmm. Uh, this Flog Slayer mercenary corps seems like an interesting thing. I just don't like the fact that we were to apprehend him.
Or that they're
Could you?
dealing with people from Limbo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind of bad news. Honestly, not a lot of these quests are like, you know, good to take unless y'all are really strong. Like I'm a dragon, and mostly what I've done is guide people on how to not get into fights with the things on that list.
As you see, noting this floor snap, these are the beginning quests, and seeing the other quests of some of the creatures listed in the depictions of wandering beasts, it's kind of easy to understand how a new individual to these lands could end up completely wiped out quite easily, just walking out in the open wilds.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
like carefully, like school my own counsel and go. I think this might be a fine time for the rest of the party to weigh in on certain things. I'm overconfident in the extreme.
I'm not surprised.
nah,
I say we just go out there and kill things that look easy to kill, and then come back
Uh,
and sell the parts.
you know, gonna level with you. The more threatening something looks, here probably the easier it's gonna be. Not always. Don't get me wrong. Not always. But
Nara
like, if
affects
you're
like
walking,
as she says this, suddenly there seems to be a depiction in the room that seems to change as if as a response to her influence on the room's magic. As you begin to see a depiction of a herd of what looks to be owl mirages that are at first look small, but then as you start to see warriors and as well as herself kind of standing there with a group with the large wagon as if like pioneered heading somewhere, getting cut down by these creatures as they come up close to them and are almost as large as she is.
yeah, yeah, and like if you're walking around in the desert, you see a cute and cuddly bunny. You might with like a fucking horn on it. You might think it's just a bunny, whatever. Eh? And then it starts shooting lightning and impaling people, and you're like, oh, it's fast. That's its thing. Is it's fucking fast. Then then sometime later you'll be walking around with the survivors, like the three of them, the only useful ones in the group, in my opinion. And you come across just a guy. He's got a bunch of potions. He tries to sell them to you for your souls. You say, I don't know about that. And then your three idiot friends are like, well, you can take him. He's just a guy. Well, if you're just one fucking guy in this desert, don't fuck with them. You know why I'm alive and they aren't? 'Cause I didn't fuck with them.
well, then, in your expert opinion, should we even take any of these quests, or just wander around the outskirts of town, see if we can find anything to put down, and maybe get a little bit stronger, sell stuff? Because honestly, we don't have the right funds to even buy things in this town.
Well, there's three ways people get wealth here for bartering and actually paying their tab and things like that. The first one, they look for newcomers to fleece. Um, it's the nature of the business, right? Like the newcomers have to find someone they can trust because you're not going to survive without. So they're in a catch-22 situation where they're literally screwed into being fleeced by whatever random passerby comes along. Most judicious groups find a patron, someone that they can make a deal with that aligns to their abilities, and then they have that patron find someone trustworthy with them. That's the smart thing to do. If
Hmm.
you haven't done that yet, you're fucked. You're already fucked. The other way that you get money in this area is you go outside town in the you wait in the kind of direction that one of these bounties are, and you wait for one of the adventuring parties to go out, fuck with one of these monsters, get their asses kicked, come crawling back to town. You either offer them help or you kill them and take their stuff. I usually offer them help. I'm not really,
Zurus, you're starting to catch on a little bit why most people don't get out of the this place. As it is very much, if you are a victim of your success, is what you kind of start to catch in this area. You can succeed at killing some mighty monster, but you're just gonna get stabbed by some poor kid as soon as you limp into town. So you
and
will
then the
have
last,
good.
and then the last thing, the last way you get wealth in this town is you show up with a bunch of people, your own people, and you say, holy shit, all of this shit sucks. And you start fucking killing them for their souls and selling their souls to people. So, like, if you came with a bunch of, I don't know, useless layabouts, and you need it, and them having them as an army isn't going to help you, because, I mean, you're going to go out there and you're going to find, like, a Boulder or some stupid thing like that. That's a beholder and an illithid combined. That happens, by the way. And it's just gonna mind fuck all of your friends and make them eat your face. Because it's bored. It's been in the desert for however long, like a century or whatever. So you generally just want like the strongest of you to go out and do stuff, or if your entire crew happens to be resistant to having their minds eaten by brain worms, then that's, it is what it is. Really, really, what we want to do is we want to wait outside town and help people to get soul coins. It doesn't pay much, but it pays enough sometimes.
I have a
Other times,
question.
people just take all of your equipment and leave you with the staff that screams at them when they touch it.
Question.
Yeah, what's up?
Then I have a question for you. How does one create a soul coin?
Well, it's pretty easy. Do you have any knowledge of magic?
I'm a druid, and that's about it.
Awesome. So, anyways,
As
whoever doesn't have one of those marks on them, you kill them. Here, most of the time, souls are somewhat visible. You fucking grab that thing, and then there's a person you can take it to.
I will
From what I
mention,
understand.
Nara, one thing that catches your attention as you're kind of looking at the quest, something that's kind of unique, recalling this on the concept of currency, is the difference in soul coins to normal currency. Their understanding of currency, as you kind of understand it, is that they can spend their currency as they want, like on anything, right? They can just walk up, hand some coins, and they give them something back. Soul coins have rules. You can't spend a soul coin unless you have full control over said soul, and you can only use the coin in certain situations if you don't have full right over it, which is less common than most people would have. So, like, yourself, as an example, could have 20 soul coins for partial use, in a sense. Like, you could use them for specific things, and then that would be as a traded currency, but it wouldn't be able to be like, oh, it's used for food, I can't go buy a weapon with it. So, there are very specifics here, so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I basically explain this, like I'll explain the currency of soul coins to these people.
As Nar goes through
I'm
it.
giving a very loose summary, though, because I am not very smart, guys.
Yeah, as Nara goes through it, basically the perspective you get is explains it is if you can use magic, you can then all you need to is visualize your soul as a coin, and suddenly it will appear around your neck on a chain. As she will demonstrate quite quickly and then make it disappear again. The only thing noting is that as you guys have been out in public, people still seem to wear their coins very clearly seen, and those who don't seem to have coins specifically seem to wear something that shows that their coin was there once.
Yeah.
Beyond that, yeah, that's the general summary of it that she gives as she put it. Not the most intellectually capable.
Yeah.
And you can only get a coin if you can only fully use someone's coin if they give it to you, or like how do you have
So
full
it's-
control over a coin?
How the contract works, as she explains it, is simply put, it's based on the individual, like how much they owe you for that soul, or of that soul. In a sense, you save their life or give them a ton of power, like a warlock, that you own their whole coin. You have every right to use it as you wish. Their soul is yours. They serve you, in a sense. They have sworn to you. If you beat the living crap out of some poor defenseless asshole, he can give you a piece of his soul in exchange for you letting him go. You won't be able to use it beyond certain means because, again, it's only a piece of it. And then, of course, those pieces, depending on how that piece is done, how the contract is done, if you do it out of fear, there's going to be certain vendors that won't take it because of how that can be played out. Because coins, when they are taken, generally, by someone like in a pact, it goes all to them. So let's say you have 10 cents of a dollar, right? The guy goes off and he decides to make a pact with Big Bozo over here because he wants to come kick your ass. Well, now that 10 cents you have, it disappears out of your hand. Now it's his. Because he's got the whole coin. So soul coins are a lot more finicky in how they'll work. You can get pieces of it, and certain places will only take pieces based on it. And the soul is split up from emotions to memories to certain different versions of the denomination. So it's very variable. Again, as Nara doesn't have a full understanding of the concept.
So as far as the explanation that I've heard so far, since the current amount of trolls in this room willingly signed on with my contract to be a part of my crew,
Yep.
I can have their soul coins in full.
They haven't sworn fealty to you out. Well, actually, no. Yeah, they
Is
did.
the reason why they're here is because they have?
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, they did because they did agree to it. Because unlike the Frost Giants, they didn't do it under distress. They chose to join. Yeah, that'd be correct. So that would give you, once you can claim them from them, yes, you could. However, right now they're also in the cocoon. As you look over at the slimy mess, that looks like it would not be a fun texture to put your hand inside.
Because I know they won't be them. Like, it's not their souls in the slugs. They're gonna be a whole new creature, correct?
You don't know. What Floor Snap explained to you in between what you two figured out is roughly that these should turn into some sort of slotty-like creatures.
Because I assume it worked like a parasite. They use them as hosts, and then they burst out, and they're, not.
You don't know.
That's what I was working with.
Yep.
So, in traditional D&D...
No, I actually have rules for this. I've already written this out. There's actual lore for it. However, when Floor Snap explained this to Captain Azura's last session, as he put it, he doesn't know what will happen. He has no clue. This isn't how it goes normally. Because normally you go to spawning pools and meet with other slotty. This is 100% something he's doing himself.
Yeah, Fleshnap hasn't actually sired any slod before.
No. So, yeah. But as you kind of look at this, as far as your perspective goes, though, I mean, as you think about the idea of it kind of contemplating it, you can see each of the cocoons begin to glow a slightly sickly green, almost with a small ball of a core at the center of it that glows a little bit more, that you do recognize as a soul coin within the cocoon.
And it's not something I could just, magically bring over to myself, ooh, it's something I have to physically grab or whatever?
According to what Nara's understanding of it is, you have to physically take it. However, as you're looking at this and kind of watching it, I mean, you could try something. You can give me a Knowledge Arcana or a Spellcraft check if you'd like.
I would love a Knowledge Arcana. Alright, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Natural 20 for a 29.
Nice. As you begin to think about it, and kind of looking over it, you get a better concept of what this is. Soul coins aren't in themselves physical items in a sense. They are a manifestation. As you begin to think about it, the 12 soul coins appear in your hands. These black coins where you can see the trolls' faces on them. Then looking in distress, but otherwise you do see the solid coin. You also begin to understand as you begin to kind of poke at one and pull on it, as a piece of emotion breaks off, and it seems that the coins are split 50-50. 50 cents of the coin is pure emotion of the individual that you have to dominate and take control of. The other 50% is their memories that you have to take hold of. As you start to kind of understand, it's soul coins in the sense, as you understand it, Captain Zurus, is you have to fully convince the person to give themselves willingly to you, one way or another, both in mind and soul, as you start to understand. But now you hold 12 soul coins in your hand, completely, seemingly free of any issue.
Oh, wow.
As
Never seen
Nara,
that
just,
before.
yeah, Nara just watches you make them appear in your hand, glittering from green light.
Yeah, again. Oh, wow. Never seen that before. I guess you really are a noble. I say to Wara.
Yeah, looking over at Wara, who I imagine is just kind of lounging there with his hand, like taking grapes from the floating hand.
I do not respond.
Just looks over, chewing on a grape, gives a light look, and then goes back to eating grapes.
Eh.
Well, let's
Like
see what we
traditional
can do.
nobility.
I prefer not to give up members of my band for profit, but if need comes, I will do so. So,
Floor Snap, real quick, did you mean that, or is that just a chat thought?
I mean, how bad would the world destroy itself if I do that?
You don't know. You can give me a knowledge arcana. If you're just trying to figure it out, yeah. As Azurus kind of thinks for a second about what he wants to do with these coins for a minute. I'd also look over for a moment, Azurus, while Floorstep rolls this, and take a second to look at the quests again and read the wording of the rewards specifically, because one of them is different for your own knowledge.
mhm.
Alright, Floorstep,
Yeah,
what'd you get? You're 100% convinced if you try to, you might pop out of existence in a lawful environment, and it's probably just not worth attempting at this point.
I also don't like the idea of displacing my soul.
That's also something else. As I mentioned, as you guys managed to, I think last session, figure out, not everyone wears their soul coins out on the open, and you were told by the guards to keep them kind of hidden if you're going to make them clearly visible to show off your status. But to keep them kind of covered away because it is easy to nab them. So it almost is implied that there are thieves around here that just make a living off stealing people's shit, like their coins, and running off and using that against them.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
I do like voice up like as like they were like deliberating, say, oh, there's a great many bones out in the middle of the desert for anyone who wants to just go and pick them up. We could have our inspiring tinker. And I give like a nod to Vicaret. Simply fashion them to something useful.
You know, you say that, but the bones tend to have, they tend to pick themselves up.
Sudden flashback to a giant dragon creature suddenly popping out of the desert and chasing the first wagon that you led through the deserts to one of the other areas. As one of the more experienced adventurers told you, no, the bones are safe.
So let's look at these rewards really quick, just so that we can, because I feel like the rewards are going to reflect the difficulty of these missions. So we've got the first one, death of the General Iracundia.
Yep, that's correct.
And this one is essentially we get land, and we'd be sworn to the Grand Duchess. Which it'd be interesting to become a Lord of Moors, but
It'd be interesting to have a prince be sworn to the Duchess.
yeah, essentially, I mean, yeah, it'd be weird for you if we're trying to get across as or it could just be a way for a prince to prove himself and just get more land. I don't know how it would work out in our favor.
Might be seen as an act of war.
Maybe, who knows. I feel the political climate of Moors is probably very strained, that is.
They'd actually probably just take it at a very weird form of face value, where it's like, oh, I guess I owe you now. Here's your land. You fuck.
Either that, or it could be maybe the prince trying to rub shoulders with the Grand Duchess, since we're trying to kill the other guy's trying to kill the prince.
I'm just like, hey, Like, yeah, that old
Hmm.
jokester captain. I was just like, make the like.
Hmm. We've got the beasts would be
So this is gonna be like a bodyguard mission because they're like trying to kill that guy over there. I point out Wara.
who isn't trying to kill a prince nowadays?
Uh,
As I choke on a grape.
See,
not
even the
hurt.
food's after him.
I shrug.
But yeah, essentially, your job is to make sure that, well, none of us die, and in turn, we'll make sure you don't die either. You know, we're all looking out for each other. Mostly the prince.
Nora, you were
Okay.
Glutoro kind of gave you a little bit of a general idea of who these guys were. You were told that Wara was one of the princes of Pride, and so making he is one of the more powerful individuals in this world. Basically, one of the top ranking devils. Then, as far as that goes, you were also told that Captain Azurus was his personal guard and tutor, like as in for military training and such, as you kind of look him up and down. And Floorsnap was noted as his magi, which was, as you were explained, an arcane teacher of some sort. Vicaret just looks to be a servant. I mean, she's clearly sitting over there working away at something, and with the cocoons in here, it looks like they're doing some sort of experiment on a few poor souls that failed them to get out. So, just to kind of give you a little bit of a background for you. Did my mic go mute?
Okay.
Okay, making sure.
No, I heard you.
Okay. Everyone went silent there for a second. I was just making sure. All right. So as you're though Captain Azurus, as you kind of look over the quest for a second, seeing the one that does state the Frog Slayer Mercenary Corps, specifically mentioning that they are coins that you can do with as you please. Kind of catching that on your eye, recognizing what that means that there's some more hook on a few of these other quests as you look at them.
There's some more hook on
Sorry, there's another. Sorry, so I'm reading off my own notes here. Apologies, and I wrote this quickly. There seems to be something more to it, as if it seems that the soul coins from the other quests will have requirements to use them, which kind of catches your attention.
Mm-hmm. But the Frog Slayer, if these guys are dealt with, then it's just 20 coins that just are able to be used.
Do with as you please. Correct.
Mm-hmm. So, Floor Snap, if you don't mind me asking, I know, Nar is kind of given us the news that if these guys have been killing sloths and are from Limbo, they're pretty bad news, but from your perspective, if these guys are able to fight sloths, do you know of a way what they might have in their arsenal if they are really good at fighting your kind?
Well, the only thing that could come to mind is if they were demons, but that wouldn't make sense given the. I just like gesture to like the existence of the plane itself. Those guys don't show up here, as to my knowledge. If I were to make a hazard of some kind, I guess it might be like the the dragon golems, the knights of the sky, whatever the hell they call themselves these days. The might ensconce themselves in a sorcery that renders all magic worthless, and try to fight this man to man, something like that. But given that they're going after my uncles in Limbo, that's a different beast. Those guys are old. They've been locked away for a very, very, very long time. And they've only gotten to fight each other, as my imagine would say. So they would get rather skilled.
Nara, if you would have to say, how much would one soul coin that you could do anything with be compared to a soul coin that has limitations on it? You know, like an exchange rate.
Depends on the limitations and the merchant. Generally speaking, though, it's like the most extreme would be like 100K to 100,000 to 1. Yeah,
A
like that.
100,000 like limited soul coins per one absolute soul coin.
Yeah.
I think I'll talk to Glutar about this.
So think about it this way, right? Well, think about it this way, all right? Like, someone gives you a piece of currency, and in a particular town, this piece of currency can only get you bread. Someone gives you another piece of currency, and this piece of currency can be used to get whatever the fuck you want. Which is worth more?
No, I get that. I'm just trying to see if an exact amount. I want to see how much more these coins are going to be worth compared to like the 250 coming from the Sorrowful Swarm. I'm trying to get like a good idea in my mind, like an actual, good comparison. Otherwise, I don't want to be walking in thinking that this Frog Slayer mercenary corps is going to be, it's just 20 coins, when it's not just 20 coins.
Nara, can you give me a knowledge history?
Okay. Oh no.
Did you roll like a nat 1?
No, I haven't rolled yet.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say.
I'm just looking at your modifier.
It's a straight D20 roll for me, so.
I've been there.
Nara genuinely believes the mercenaries are going to be easier to kill than the Sorrowsworn. So.
Understandable.
Is going to say this as much, like very flat out, like I would rather fight the mercenaries than the Sorrowsworn.
That's fair. 7. Okay. I will say, to your understanding, roughly about a 50 coin, like full coins without it, like full soul coins, will get you almost a small city. In comparison, most like partial coins could barely buy you a meal. There's a vast extremity, and as to your own point, and the reason to your own confusion is it depends on the value of the soul. Like an average dude that comes down here is worth pennies even for his full soul. A guy who's like level 20 who walks in here, his soul could be worth a fucking territory, like to yourself. So that does also, as you kind of think about what Azura seems to be explaining, doesn't really translate to the terminology down here.
Yeah.
So the 20 soul coins that I can do with as I please could mean nothing.
Could mean nothing, or the fact that they because it's specified, these could be worth a lot more. Because if they are known for killing sloths, that means that they have an intense amount of power.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that their soul should be worth more, in theory.
Mm-hmm.
That you might also want to do research in the area, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because also, I don't like the fact that we have to apprehend. That means we can't kill them. We have to hold back.
Also, to reiterate, like, it's not just like they're known for killing sloths; they're known for killing sloths from Limbo.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got that. Honestly, I think that might be this very well might be the most dangerous one on the board.
I think so, by a long shot.
I'm just gonna put this out there, but these mercenaries are very specifically not taking jobs in this area. When if they're stronger than the Sorrowsworn, they would probably just go after the Sorrowsworn for pay instead of being bandits.
There might be a reason why they're being bandits, though. Maybe they're not allowed to be in town.
I give a shrug.
I don't know. If there's a job to go after them, it might be more lucrative and less risk. Like, it still might be... Because there's probably going to be quite a few of them. just by assumption, maybe it's a soul coin per each mercenary. If there is 20 of these guys who've been taking out slots in limbo, I don't know. Frankly, I think it might be a bad idea to take on either Mercenary Corp or the Sorrowful Swarm for the at the time being.
We should
They just
probably go
kinda give
ask
a
the
shrug.
people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd say we definitely do some research. I'm currently leaning towards the beasts. Of course, still information on it, absolutely. But I don't like having to swear fealty to the Duchess.
Uh, I'm just gonna put this out there. If you want to figure out some of this stuff, you could always just wait outside town for adventurers to come limping back and then offer to help them and talk to them about what they experienced and get a pretty good idea.
Sorry, I'm thinking for a second.
So Azur's kind of like rubs his chin, kind of sits down on the couch, kind of pushing the Frog Slayer mercenary and Sorrowful Swarm kind of off to the other side of the table as like a no pile, and then looking at the other three as you mentioned this. Floorsnap kind of long eyes in the distance, looking off memories of an ancient ooze war that happened. It killed too many good slotty that it brings a slight tear to his eye.
This is how I learned about the technique of ripping oozes apart to throw at people, though.
Yep. It made great cannon fodder after you guys figured out how to kill them, but the initial threat was it was too many good slots died. Those slots were... Yeah.
Now,
Good.
Now, Nara, I know rewards vary, but what are the kinds of rewards that the Grand Duchess normally give out? Like when like jobs like these fastest beasts come about.
Nara, I'll leave that one to you on how you want to kind of put that, because that's your own perspective from your backstory.
Depends really. Like, if you do an all right job, you'll get paid, and then maybe the pay will keep coming, maybe it won't. If you do a really good job, you're gonna end up in a situation where you're just, her servant at that point. Like, she's gonna try and snooker you into being her servant. If you do a bad job and still somehow succeed, at that point it's very much, well, I mean, I point to the Slad Hunters bounty.
Formerly well-known group that used to serve under her, yes.
Like,
As Nara kind of points to that, given Azur's kind of deep in thought as he looks at the quest, kind of contemplating what the service to this woman or not. Go ahead, Nara.
generally speaking, you want to serve them just enough for them to not know who you are. And then once they start figuring out your name, inevitably one of the lords is like, that person betrayed me, and then they put a bounty on your head, even though you were just trying to take a job for food because the lord had forgotten that you had existed for however many decades and let you starve.
Floorsnap and Warrior, you suddenly remember seeing a good few list of people on the higher rank that had some very unique designs to them that looked to be great individuals that would be major powerhouses in the mortal plane, and seeing them now with bounties for some of the simpler things, as Nara kind of put, most of them for stealing food, as you recall, seeing as a major note, but their bounties sometimes being up to 500 to 1,000 soul coins without any clause to them.
I'm getting like the impression that like the job danger isn't always necessarily the thing, but there's like an ego component to it. It's like you don't want to be seen as like some kind of pauper if you've been wronged.
You're not far off. That's a good way to look at it as you kind of start to look around here. Weakness will get you killed, and you can't afford any sense of the word.
Yeah, so they like show off economic strength. It's like this person has like wronged me very minorly. So here's like, an obscene amount of money. Look how powerful I am. This is how I can just get rid of trash, basically.
Azurus, as you kind of think about back home, it kind of reminds you of the cranky nobles, like minor nobles, that were never noteworthy enough to get picked up in like the Collective of Pyrrhus's books, but always just known enough in the area to become a pain in your side when you go visiting and assume you were there to do damage when you were just visiting the territory.
Mm-hmm.
Also, as a side note, in terms of like the slab situation, I've never seen a slab. Like, so who the fuck are they hunting? You know?
Yep. Interesting thing. I don't know. Who could
Like, this is, from what I understand, these slab things are like these chaotic creatures. They can be almost anything at any given time. They're hard to comprehend, but generally they're fun to be around as long as you're not on the receiving end of it, right?
Yeah, no, I could. Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Now, this is a plane of law. Why the fuck would one of them come here?
Hey, the world's a crazy place. Shit happens. Well, you know what? Honestly, I'm curious to see if anybody knows or has any inkling of information why these mercenaries are simply just confining themselves to banditry. They're good at what they do. I am truly surprised at why they aren't really doing work or jobs for someone. Maybe we can figure that out because we have to apprehend them. Maybe we can perform some skullduggery or some kind of bluff or deception to bring them in if we can find the reason why they're not doing something.
Could be a bunch of chaotic louts themselves. Sometimes you take on the aspects of the prey you hunt.
Maybe. Because from what I know, they weren't in limbo. They were just they were stopping the things that were coming through limbo, like the
Oh,
gates.
yes. I don't think there's a way out of limbo, actually.
Well, obviously those Slottied found a way through because they were trying to enter through the gates of limbo.
Or someone just found a gate to limbo that went one way, declared themselves hunters of some creature that nobody around here has ever fucking seen before, and then started collecting a tithe for it. The tithe dried up because again, nobody's seen it.
Well, I don't know if it's just something that they're pulling out of their ass. I mean, this is a well-known mercenary group, and they were on contract. I mean, I guess we'll find out information. I don't know if... I mean, granted, I've just been serving as captain of this man's guard.
As you look over at Wara, who's rolling his eyes as he chews on a grape.
Yeah, so you understand it pretty well, right? Like, it's a show. Like, you're the captain of that guy's guard. That guy. The noble.
As Nara
is you.
Looking over at him, seeing him, he looks every bit as he's like slightly trying coughs on the grape as he swallows it and finally gets it down. The lacking of impressiveness, but sensing there's a strange power there, or at least there has to be with these capable people around.
Yeah. Like, I'm not judging your ability to fight. I'm not saying you can't fight, but he's a fucking Moors noble. Oh, the captain of the guard for a Moors noble. Wow. We really have to work hard on that one, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. The things you have to do to keep one alive. But that's a story for another time. Let's go get some information. Let's go see if we can find some maybe adventurers on their way back. See if anybody's nursing their wounds back here in the tavern. I got these 12 soul coins if we need to get anything, but I'd rather hold off on spending them as much as we can.
If they've already made it to the tavern, they're not gonna... And they're not gonna give you anything for helping them. They're gonna be like, "Oh, I'll give you my feeling of having taken a shit 2 weeks ago." Not really worth a fuck.
No, I don't know. Maybe
You don't want the guys that are like on the edge of death.
I'm not
Don't
gonna
think
ask
they're gonna.
for them. I'm not asking to help them. More so of listening in, them talking to each other about the job they've done.
Oh, eavesdropping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that'd
not
work.
looking to put myself forward as someone who's gonna help folk.
Azurus, as you hear this, Nara, he just sounds like he's saying the obvious. Like that's normal of how people are down here. Kind of getting the implication of you're kind of understanding why he's the captain of this noble's guard, as he doesn't seem to be able to tell a lie. It's almost as if he's so not dense, but you know the joke of the Drax making of like a thing going over his head and saying, "Oh no, nothing's fast enough to go over my head. I'd catch it." Kind of that's what you catch a little bit from Azurus, unintentionally, as he's not meaning that, but with like Wara here, it's like okay,
Yeah.
But as you guys say this, you hear as the door kind of hear a knock on the door as one of the incubi kind of standing at the door, holding what looks to be a pitcher of darkened ale, kind of stands waiting for the door to open.
Yep. Nara, would you mind getting the door, please?
I'll walk over and get the door.
As you open it, he kind of smiles at you. His dark brown hair, charcoal skin, glimmering green eyes, kind of almost lighting up the room as he hands you the round of a couple of dark ales on it, and smiles again as you close the door, turning and heading down the hallway, leaving you alone.
I look towards the group and say, "Did any of you order this?"
Not at all.
I dumped it on the floor.
Yep.
As you do, you watch as it begins to slightly sizzle and the stone begins to give a bit of a smoke and a burn before the ale kind of dissipates.
Looks
they
like
like us.
another attempt on the prince thwarted. Another good day's work for Team Prince, I guess.
And there goes a perfectly good section of the floor.
Nah, it'll recover.
All right. So, my dear Prince, what's your opinion on all of this, or do you not want anything to do with the decision making this time?
I will leave it up to the captain of my guard to make the best decision for the group.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
I knew you would think I would say that.
Yeah,
You want me to make the decision?
Absolutely. Well, no, that.
Good.
No.
That's a bad idea.
Like, no, I thought about it. But no, it's a stupid idea.
Yep.
Nara's perspective right now.
Yeah.
Alright. Another question. It seems that we've lost our mode of transportation recently. Do you know where potentially we might be able to get some?
Nara, to your own knowledge, there's two places in town one can purchase anything, and it is here at the inn, which is just basically a general shop for everything, and then the Av Furnace and Arms and Armor that sells pretty much everything that you need as an adventurer. So they also have a stables just like the inn does, so I mean either one would work.
Yeah, it's pretty much here or the
I will post it, don't worry for you. Mostly because I put a lot of work into the thought for that.
Av Furnace, Arms and Armors. Pretty much. I got it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you know if there's any airships or sand vessels that can be purchased from this town? Do you know of the stock, or is it pretty much if you ask for it, they probably have it for a price?
Generally that.
Hmm. Well, I guess let's. We're bullshitting around long enough. Let's go get some information. I'm definitely gonna start here, listening around to the adventurers coming in, seeing if they've got any word about this mercenary corps, any rumors. I'm unfamiliar with this town's layout, and the notables. Been out of the loop for quite a while. Floor Snap. What are you thinking of doing for information gathering? Or would you like to give the prince some lessons?
Yeah, I can give the prince some lessons. I like gesture like the
What
the
lessons are we talking about?
Go ahead, Floorsnap, as War mentions that, kind of like sitting up, suddenly realizing he actually has to do something other than just lounge and eat grapes.
I like gesture like the trolls in their cocoons and like these lot I think needs a small amount of supervision and preferably someone to be here when they wake up.
All right,
I'm likely the best equipped to make sure they stay pliable.
You see Floor Snaps, as he says that, his eyebrows kind of arch a bit, and his hands seem to glow a little bit with magic, and seemingly the cocoons seem to respond with their own glimmer of a greenish, swampy-colored magic.
Mm-hmm. And my prince, I would bring you to do some information gathering, but if you're around us, I'm afraid you'll attract too many eyes. It's one thing just to be, a random, bodyguard roaming about, but it's another thing for a prince to be walking about.
I highly agree with you. I should stay here.
As War puts his feet back up and leans back over, eating his grapes, I imagine.
Yeah. My friends, try to learn something from the Magi, please. You're slacking on your studies, and your father will kill me if you don't, start doing well in that aspect.
It was my understanding that this was my trip, my choice of doing this, my vacation.
You see him challenge you with a glare of Azurus.
There's no rest for the wicked, my prince. You know that just as well as I.
You do speak the truth. Fine. I will stay here and
But I'm zinger!
learn something. Fine.
Plus I told you, you can beat me at the wrestling, then you can skip my lessons.
You don't play fair.
Samara sits up grabbing a book off of the shelf just to make it look like the bit he's committing to the bit, and starts pulling it open to a random page.
Alright, Nara, let's go see if we can find anything about these mercenaries or the other jobs on deck. I'd like to be more informed before we make any final decision.
Alright. Oh, I think Nara muted for a moment. Did we lose you? We might have.
Who did we lose?
Oh, no, you're back. There you go. Okay. Wait, what? Did my mic? Oh, there we go. My mic was cutting out there for a minute as well.
No, I mean, I heard you. I don't know if...
All right,
but,
you.
yeah.
Nara, as you and Azurus begin to head out of the out of the room, closing it behind you, as you see Wara and Floorsnap kind of taking one last look to see what they're doing, as Floorsnap begins to create an imagery of light of some ancient history battle with X's and O's designed as a tactic map, and Wara looks slightly already like he's ready to fall asleep. As the door shuts and the two of you head into the tavern itself.
War's getting a taste of his own medicine. Oh, the masters of embroidery.
I see it. Warren eyeing Azurus as he walks up to the nap. As soon as the door closed, the slight snoring can be heard as Wara's out cold. As Floorsnap continuing to work on, or giving a fake lesson as he begins. I assume you're going to do what you just messaged me.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get back to that in a second. We're going to come to them first, less crazy situation. Alright. As Azurus and Nara, as the two of you head into the tavern, kind of back into the open area where, from the hallway where the room is kind of set aside, the open tavern has a few visitors, a few devils here and there, but what catches your attention is the group of what looks to be, actually, I believe you've met Raider, correct?
Oh yeah, we have met Raider.
Recognizing the Triton race themselves, a group of what looks to be 5 Tritons. One looks to be a half-breed as his ears are slightly lacking in the pointedness, kind of sitting about. 2 of them looking to be much older, their beards very long and very white in coloration, very aged with wrinkles across their face, one carrying what looks to be a wicked wooden staff with some strange carving, the other a bow. A younger of the 3 looks to kind of sit across to them, looking almost to be identical to the 2 older gentlemen, gentle Triton. As he looks to have a bit more color in his beard with a bit more blue kind of gleaming as he sits there. What looks to be a mage himself, though, carrying a short bow at his hip. The last 2 that kind of catch your eye is a younger lady that looks to be, you'd guess, maybe somewhere around like her mid-20s in age, gleaming in a beautiful dress that seems to glimmer, wearing a couple bits of makeup that you've never seen before for the colors being so vibrant, recognizing almost immediately her bardic talents as you catch a bit of her whispering and her voice being lovely to hear as she speaks. The last one, the half-breed that kind of catches your attention, looks to be, well, you'd kind of amalgamate to the frontliner of this fighting adventuring group that catches your eye, being heavy in full plate, his ears slightly more rounded, his skin a little bit more tight, himself a little bit bigger than the others, as he seems to carry what looks to be a great sword in almost on his hip comfortably, and looks like he can almost wield this thing with a single hand. Other than them, another group of what looks to be a few snowbeard adventurers kind of sit amongst each other, all very red-skinned, fiery red beards and bright blood-red eyes. The rest amongst the groups look to be devils who kind of seem to give you the eye, Azurus, and as you recognize the same kind of look you get in certain like high-end bars of "go away, you're beneath me," kind of recognizing it's not going to be worth talking to them. You kind of have a choice here. Glutaro is also still sitting at the bar cleaning glasses and just kind of watching his customers.
Mm-hmm. Since Glutar already knows our situation, probably anything I try to get out of him information-wise is definitely going to come at a cost. Since he knows he can, push around what he already knows about us. I think I'm going to refrain from asking him about anything. I'm definitely curious about... I don't know why Tritons are here in Moors, unless they're dead, or... I don't know. I'm definitely curious on these Tritons. If you don't mind me trying to listen in on them before I go and make contact with them.
Yeah, give me a listen check, and while you do that, Nara, while you see kind of Captain Azurus begin to kind of find one of the tables in the middle of the bar, or the tavern itself, and kind of sits down, grabbing a couple of like peanuts off the table and starts kind of cracking them as he pops them in his mouth, listening in. What do you want to do while you follow along with him?
So there's these fiery snowbeard dudes and stuff like that, right?
Yep, a group of fiery snowbeards, and then the strange-looking, or the Tritons themselves as well, on another table.
I walk up to the snowbeards because I know fucking at least some snowbeards really fucking love telling stories about themselves,
Uh-huh.
and I'll be like, "Hey, you guys, you look like a tough lot.
The
How'd you
one...
get that scar?" And I'll point to one of them. That's like if he has a visible scar. Like just any one of them has a visible scar. How'd you get that scar?
As you point to one of them that you just catch the slightest mark to for a moment. Okay, Azuris, I see the 19. I appreciate it. Menacing that you watch as he looks down at you and kind of smiles as he opens his shirt and goes, left over from when I was alive. I fought in the Red Snow Civil War, and I got this in the, first couple battles, unfortunately. That Magral Stronghelm really did a piercing. As the others kind of give a cheer to that, and as they take a drink.
Cheer with them.
As you start to sit down and get to know them and start like chatting them up, having a good time, they start buying you rounds as you see Azuris in the background kind of listening in to the other group. Alright.
Yeah, I'm just gonna slowly progress them towards more modern things.
Find out what they've been up to. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Alright. As you're kind of working on that, Azuris, as you listen in, you hear them chatting. The oldest of the bunch, who looks to have the looks to be a giant kind of staff or wooden staff that's strangely carved. Some sort of mage of some sort seems to be quietly speaking, as they seem to go on about something about a battle, and you kind of catch little snippets of the language. Something about why didn't you do? And then it kind of quiets, and then he goes, we should have grabbed, and then kind of quiets down again, and he goes, next time, Bart, you're gonna go, and then he quiets again, and goes, and you will go and marry that prince of Iracondia, or Kundia, as he looks at her, and kind of quiets, as you see the half-breed, kind of bigger, plated gentleman kind of bump the elderly mage and look over at you as he kind of notices you listening in. Kind of gives you a look, Azuris, and kind of just raises an eyebrow, waiting to see what you'll do.
I'll approach.
She kind of stands, looking over and seeing Nara on a third cup already, as the Snowbeards are happily discussing some, like the different battles that they had been fighting in amongst the Red Snow Civil War, who they served, what it was about. Talks about reviving a dead god, them going on and on about something in the background as you walk over. Kind of stepping over to the Tritons. The larger gentleman himself kind of speaks up immediately and goes, are you the one who's escorting the prince? As he speaks in common.
Yes, that would be me. I was definitely curious to see a group of Tritons so far away from the ocean. I was hoping to figure out something about why you're out here before talking to y'all. I do apologize for my eavesdropping.
You see the old archer that looks to, now as you get a closer look to him, he looks to be the twin of the elder mage, kind of look over at you, and seems to speak in Aquan and goes, this gentleman thinks he's actually able to talk to us, this filthy inbred.
I reply in Aquan, I've spent my fair share in the sea, I'll have you know.
You see the mage kind of give a deep laugh as he elbows his brother, and almost immediately, and seems to get a good a heavy laugh, a joke at it. The younger male half-breed kind of looks at you and goes, in Aquan, and goes, you speak the mother tongue, but you are not one of our people. You are half or quarter like myself.
No, I've simply just, I'm a druid. And I once fell in love with a water elemental. Showed me the ways of the sea.
You see, the others seem to kind of nod at that, almost appreciative, and kind of seemingly with understanding in their eyes. As across the bar or the tavern, you hear another cheer as Nara is like cheered up. Nara Plefex is shouted out loud. You see as she is picked up and like thrown up slightly in the air by the Snowbeards, as they are fully like embracing her as one of their own over there, as they seem to be telling boisterous stories.
I ever so rarely see one of your kind, though. The last one I've seen was a gentleman named Raider, if any of you know him.
No, that's not a name. That's a term. Are you sure that you met one of our people? As like the large one speaks.
Well, because they look like Raider, right?
They do. They do look like Tritons. Yeah.
I mean, I would assume so. He at least introduced himself as Raider. Now, for all I know, he just gave this as a moniker to call him by.
You see them kind of like the older group, the two elders kind of seem to whisper back and forth, and the wizard kind of leans over to the half breed and whispers something in his ear as he looks over at you and goes, "He didn't tell you his name because he didn't trust you. He may have considered you lesser, as is common for our people. For those born upon the surface, you tend to be, what's the term? As he says in Aquan, weak."
Understandable. It takes a lot to withstand the depths of the sea.
He nods and goes, back in Mard when we were young and serving in the mortal plane, it was far scarier. Creatures of great power walked the world, and beings that were as large as islands swam the vast seas, devouring what we once called pets, and mounts that we would ride on. Partners in some cases. As he kind of looks at the elders, and they kind of seem to nod along, and he kind of looks back at you and goes, "But our story is long lost and does not matter anymore. As to your question, why we are far from the sea," as he continues in Aquan goes, "we find ourselves here not by choice but by death. We've been dead for longer times than most of us can remember. We travel the large ring from place to place, seeing the different changes and meeting souls that have survived their transformation or their drop into here. Those yet chained to someone."
In your travels, have you ever found a way for an individual to break out of moors?
He nods and goes, "Yes, we've heard of two. In fact, well, one individual, the second was a group of 12, I think it was, and the others seemed to kind of nod along."
Interesting. Because, well, frankly, I don't really like it out here in this wide desert. I definitely would rather find my way out of this place. I didn't exactly die to come here.
Kind of nods at that and goes, "Not uncommon. You pissed off your patron, didn't you?" As one of the older elves kind of leans over the mage, kind of looking at you with a big smile on his face as he looks you in the eyes.
Something like that.
Kind of smacks his knee, and you see the younger individual who hasn't really spoken yet, with his blue beard and like bow on his hip, kind of push over a soul coin over to the elder mage almost immediately. The half-breed kind of looks at you and kind of nods at that and goes, "If you're looking to escape, the simplest way to do it is to get the 7 favors. A favor from each of the individual lords of the ring itself, and with that you can open the gateway. without doing that, the only other means I know of is to, well, commit 12 sacrifices, as I've been told, or 11 sacrifices at the gateway of those you cherish. Only the strongest, though, is able to get out. It is by no means the most cunning or conniving, as rumors have told.
So either do 7 jobs for the Lords of Hell, or sacrifice 11 of those you care about.
He nods and goes, "That's what the rumor goes. There are 7 objects that unlock the gateway to the mortal plane. It's said the original 7 lords did it just to placate those of us unwilling to accept our position here. Gave us something to do and kept us out of their hair. But
Has someone ever completed that job before?
He nods and he goes, the first flame. A half-demon child born here in Moors. He had another name before that, but he found himself pulled down here by a hag woman. The story goes, some lady named Vitra, I can't recall what her name was, Grand Hag. Angry at a lover, abandoned a male son that she had down here, supposedly. Though there are rumors that it wasn't her child, in fact, but was the last remaining child of a different clan of hags, and she did that to take their power, which I believe that more than any other story, as the others seem to nod along to that. And he goes, but supposedly he found a way to get all 7 of the objects: a ring from pride, a carving knife, I think it was, from Gluto or Gluttony, a few others that seemed to. He took to the portal, unlocked it, and left, never to return. I've heard he walks the material plane even now, but no one can prove it. We all know he disappeared and hasn't been seen since. He's a hero down here. He fought in the first and second unifying wars, managing to keep other rings from coming under the single hands of Pride itself.
If I ask, what is your little group called? What name do you all go by?
He smiles and goes, we come from the clan of the Wave Callers and call ourselves such.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. I find I'm not exactly I'm a wave keeper.
They look at you and shrug and go, I don't believe that you're one of our people.
Yeah, no, I'm not a wave caller, but most of in my times of being a druid, I've specialized in the ocean. It's definitely not super useful out here in this sea of sand.
They nod, and one of them looks up and goes, the half-breed kind of looks up at you and goes, yes, the seas are only permitted within Wrath itself, from my understanding. Envy on occasion sees waters and ocean lines, but rarely do the lands of Gluttony see anything other than death all around, as the life force is literally eaten away by her. You pay it now, don't you know?
I want to get out of this land as much as possible. As quick as possible, pardon me.
All the domains and realms are the same. The one leader exchanges one hatred for another. You're not going to find much different other than what those of Lust find themselves as the most vibrant groups. Those snowbeards over there are actually jesters and servants to the Lady of Lust itself. I believe they're working their charms on your friend currently, and they'll probably take her back to their lair to devour her.
He's talking about the
as you look over and see Nara is like on about the 12th round of what looks to be an ale and is having a very good time in the background.
Interesting.
As we'll get to that in a second.
Yes, of course. Let me see. I feel like I was gonna ask something. Oh, yeah. So the that job on the board about those oozes on the road. Says you could, will be rewarded by the Grand Duchess. Do you think that possibly that reward could be asked of being one of the 7 favors?
They seem to almost immediately all start laughing at that. And saying, as the kind of guy, the half-breed kind of clears the laughter from his face, kind of wiping his eyes and looks at you and goes, No, that's too easy. You'd have to do something like assassinating a prince or stopping a war or stopping a nation from being wiped out.
Assassinating a prince, huh?
He nods and goes, The First Flame was said to have managed to individually stop 2 wars and save 3 nations, and then had curried favor with the rest. The jobs that he's known for are taking on armies, legions of soldiers of other nations. I imagine it wouldn't be easy to get. Could always steal it, of course, but that would take a thief well beyond what we've ever seen down in these lands.
Well, thank you for your conversation. It's comforting to talk to folks of the sea.
Nods and goes, We'll be in town for a few more days, but then we're moving on to the next portion of the ring. If you are traveling at that point, find us. We're always happy to have a larger caravan amongst the dunes.
If the stars align, I'll certainly take up on that.
I nod and kind of turn to go back to their drink as you turn kind of back before you move on. Nara, as you've been kind of sitting here, enjoying a drink, kind of having a good time, about 6 rounds in, these gentlemen have pretty much told you their life stories as you find out they were part of an elite unit of assassins sent to kill Magrel Stronghelm during the Red Snow Civil War, and unfortunately all found themselves killed before the battle started as they miscalculated their time of the attack. Unfortunately finding him fully guarded by his elite bodyguard and cut down within a few seconds. As such, they now work as a jester crew for the Lady of Lust herself, not stating her name whatsoever, and seem to kind of be very smiley and huggy towards you, seemingly kind of always handing you more to drink, somehow seeming to make an excuse to put their arms on or their hands onto your arms. They are full on handsy without regret.
Yeah, I mean, it.
Is Nara going to react, or is she just going to kind of enjoy the free drinks and the stories?
Again, I'm trying to steer them to get information about battles that they've had recently in this plane. I know that they're jesters and stuff like that, but
give me a gather information roll. Let's see what you can do for it.
Yeah.
As the drinks continue to flow.
Also, just to be clear, I have a fairly high spell resistance.
Oh, they're not casting spells on you. No, not at all. This is them trying to seduce you naturally. They're not doing well, as to know. I've rolled 2 nat 1s in a row in the background here.
They're also probably not my type.
Well, with a -2 in charisma, I don't think they're many people's types. So go ahead and roll. Let's see what you can manage to charm them.
I think I'm more their type than the other way around, because I have a 6 modifier in charisma.
With an 18, alright, as you manage to kind of steer the conversation towards more towards the recent information, yes, you do gain a good bit. So firstly, you learn that as they do serve under Cupidus, Lady Cupidus, and have served her military vanguard as their jester unit to serve mostly, as they explain, to the Vanguard captain, performing jokes, plays, such and so forth, as they jump around, bounce around, and so on and so. They mention that since being down here in Hell itself, or in Moors itself, they have only seen 2 battles themselves. One was they happened to watch a young prince. They don't know from what nation, as the flag was taken down before they could catch sight of it, was killed recently within the last about month on his way to this city. Having been killed deep in the sands and jumped by what looked to be a group of strange black ooze-like creatures wearing armor, that is the best way they describe it. This does sound similar to what the Frog Slayers are described as. And then the second battle they mention is the one that they had when they first arrived in Hell, which was in Cupidus, as they found themselves coming to alive, opening their eyes in a sense in the plane after dying. They found themselves in what they describe as a horrific dungeon-like area where evil beasts began to try and grab and pull them deep beneath was literally what they describe as a strange blackened ooze-like material that they seem to come out of. A few of them, they mentioned, did not seem to make it. All they heard were screams of horror and pain as they ran up the stairs and were greeted by the royal guard that worked the palace itself and given free clothes, taught how to gain their soul coin out of their body and how to offer it to Cupidus herself as a requirement for being in her territory. As they seem to each show, as they pull their what would be normally a necklace that holds a soul coin, now is just an empty chain with, as you recognize, slowly changing to what look to be little like pink hearts, connected to each other, giving the depiction of these individuals and who they belong to. Otherwise, they don't seem to have any mention of any other battles since coming here, mostly out of fear of dying again.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't begrudge them that. I don't make any side comments about them, being cowardly dwarves or anything like that. But, there's definitely the dragon bullshit of,
you could have
really,
done better.
Guys? Oof, that's rough, man. Because, I'm a copper dragon. I'm not instead of being man, you're a disgrace to dwarven kind, I'm more like, oh, God, that's rough.
Yep. But as you get it's the same sad story you've heard in every tavern you've been in down in this plane of existence. There's always a group that had the worst kind of place to come into existence and found themselves in a bad situation. As they continue to kind of pour you drinks and hand them off to you. Funny enough, they're not strong drinks either, as you kind of continue to enjoy. But go ahead.
I mean, I'm a large lizard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a large saurian magical beast whose stomach is described as a literal mineral processing furnace. So, I can't imagine there's a lot of alcohol that do mess with me.
No, it's got a nice taste, but it's earthy, and as you kind of get it down, the dwarves seem to be getting very drunk as you kind of feel the rounds going past. Is there anything else you'd like to get out of them before they start passing out?
Any information about these seeing as how they've apparently encountered them before, the slotty hunters?
Oh, as you kind of bring that up, as you point to that, one of them kind of smiles as he kind of drunkenly goes, "Yes, they are big, black, and ooze-like." That's all he gives you, as he's sitting there kind of staring at you drunk.
I'll say, that's great, that's exactly what I wanted to hear, and I'll spin him around, and while I'm spinning him around, I'm going to switch out with an incubus on the way, and basically just excuse myself from the group, and hopefully these dwarves are way too drunk to notice or care. Especially if the fucking waiter has a goddamn tray of booze, so...
Give me let's call it a move silently check as you try to, not creak anything, as you kind of make see Azurus getting up and beginning to walk to another table and find himself sitting there kind of nod.
Can I substitute hide?
Sure, I'll take hide.
Okay. It's one of my 2 skills.
There, floor snaps type, I see bait. Oh god. As you manage to kind of spin him around and just like Batman, quickly vanish, pushing this poor incubi, who kind of looks at you with a little bit of annoyance as you rush over, and as the dwarf kind of stops spinning, seems to kind of really Ralph in his mouth a little bit, swallows it down, and goes to lean in to kiss the incubi, who looks on in horror as the poor guy is now being bothered by this puking dwarf. As the two of you kind of gather back together. We jump back now for a moment as Azurus and Nara Plefex begin to kind of join back at their table. We jump over first and rewind back to Wara and Floorsnap as we look over at them in their room. Wara and Floorsnap, as you guys are in here, what would you like to do?
Yeah, I think I finished talking Wara asleep. If I succeed or not is up to him.
I mean, he said he was gonna nap anyway, so
Fair enough.
that's up to him though. Yeah.
Uncle, I want to live the life of a harlot for at least one day.
You're really
Yeah,
milking
that's
this,
fair.
are you?
That's what servants are for.
But I am a servant in real life. I serve the captain.
Yep, and right now you're serving him by making sure you embrace your role properly so that we don't get found out and get killed.
I hate this. Can you be the prince and I just be the lowly bodyguard?
Yeah, that's not likely. They already recognized you.
Yeah, most of the creatures in this place have true seeing anyway, so good luck with that.
We're not there.
No, that's Vicrat.
Duh.
Vicrat in the corner, quietly working away at one of the pieces of furniture. She makes like a wooden wand for herself.
Saw it. I didn't even recognize the change of voices there. My apologies.
Besides, it's also highly to our advantage that people don't recognize who or what I am.
I don't think anyone knows. Uncle. Come on.
Well, there are some people. The giant out there, for example.
Yeah, well, after the trolls finish their egg hatching, some people might get a clue.
Yes, but luckily, people just show up here. So, I mean...
Yeah, but do they show up here, or just here? As I point down when I say here, and then do the hand motion of a whole area when I do the here.
Look, they're brazen enough to ask questions, then they're likely smart enough to not actually ask them.
And that's what we're worried about, isn't it?
Well, let me put it this way. The trolls would die. They're going to die. They were going to die, no matter what. We're pretty clear on that one.
Yeah, I'm following so far.
So, right now we have a potential ally that many wouldn't be expecting. Granted, I do have to subjugate them, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I can see that story happening in about 3 or 4 days.
Maybe a few hours. Who knows? It's not exactly an exact process here.
Well, I mean, this is your first time, isn't it?
Yes.
Your first time?
Also, this is not how it's normally done either. So, all bets are off.
I would hope that's not the way it's normally done. Because if it is, then I don't want to be a harlot.
Who's to say? Don't try and bed oozes.
Oozing does not sound fun.
No, especially whenever they gobble your genitalia. Not a good thing.
Okay, I'm done with this conversation, Uncle. No. Bickeret, so, what are you doing?
Just gonna
So
slide.
anyways, oozes.
Nope. I go start walking around the place looking for a room, whether it be a bathroom, a bathtub, some other room that no one else is in.
You know, fair. As you kind of go, think this immediately, a secondary room begins to expand out. As you mentioned, or as you look about, the door seems to obediently open, and this beautiful bed kind of sets itself, almost as these these invisible servants begin to almost seemingly move things like candles, setting the mood to as you walk in, closing the door as these scents kind of envelop, and you feel at peace, Wara.
Wow, this feels so much better. As I slam the doors closed.
And just like kind of like turn to Vikrat and say, "Now then, few of distractions. I have need of your observational skills."
My observational skills, that's a new one.
Well, I don't think your magical talents would particularly help out in this vein of inquiry.
Okay.
I'm going to talk to this plant. I want you to observe anything out of the ordinary. You know, from the other times I've done this kind of thing.
Oh, no.
Oh
All
no.
right. Hold on a second. Okay. I think I'm ready.
Excellent. Finish praying to whatever deity you care to.
I don't worship the gods.
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
I nod. Or Vikrat nods. Vikrat says, also pauses for a second. Oh, before you do, make sure it doesn't get rid of those things. I point at the slotty eggs. Because if they pop out of this place, I'm going to study the energies. You know, they teleport away. And figure out how that works and make an item based off of it, hopefully. That's kind of my plan. I imitate Nara and give you a thumbs up. It's a sarcastic, like, it's the most sarcastic you've seen, Vicaret. And you seem you're pretty sarcastic.
You've gotten really cheeky out of nowhere. I like it.
As you look over kind of at that, looking at the plant, what are you saying in Slotty?
Like kind of like gesture to like the like kind of like line it up like with the eggs, or like theory in like the back of my mind is like, maybe if I expose them to like chaos magic, they'll grow up right and they won't come out lawful evil and stupid.
Okay.
So I just like turn to the plant and say, "Awaken and serve me."
As you say this, give me a fortitude save, please.
All right, it's time to die.
Yes.
22.
22. Good news, you're not dead. Bad news, Vicaret, you watch, Vicaret and Wara, you watch, well, Wara's in the other room, never mind. Vicaret, you watch as Floorsnap just drops unconscious as the eggs begin to crack or begin to make cracking noises, and you see the most terrifying looking hand you've ever seen. The hand of a humanoid tree frog begin to pull and push out of the eggs.
Oh my god, this is where the grung were created.
I got a 29 spellcraft, and I'm gonna roll Planes and Arcana as well, I guess.
Sure.
This is Planes.
I love
This is
Florida's
Arcana.
dream. Alright. As you kind of watch this, you've never seen this race before, but you're pretty sure Floorsnap just decided to, well, not on purpose, but by accident, in essence, put his entire magic out of him into the room you're in. Thankfully, this room being as magically sealed as it is, didn't let the impressive amount of magic expand outwards, which would have caused a huge problem, probably. But right now, to put it in a way that would make sense, you ever been in a room with, like, no oxygen before? Or, like, where you're unable to breathe? It's a lot like that right now. Suddenly, it's so suffocating because the magic has become so dense that the oxygen in the room is being pushed out. As Floorsnap lays there, completely unconscious, looking up at the ceiling. The other thing I will note, as you recognize for the knowledge of planes, his what is popping out seem to not be Slotty. This is a race. This is some sort of other race you've never seen or heard of before.
Alright, well,
Time to poke your head. Asaurus, get in here!
I'm gonna walk over to Floor Snap. I'm gonna use one of my lesser spell slots to give myself Ant Haul. I'm gonna pick up. Very ironic. I'm gonna pick Floor Snap up.
Uh-huh.
I remember that Wara just demonstrated that we can create extensions to the pocket dimension, so I'm gonna do that. And I carry Floor Snap into a room that has a window that is slightly open, is what I'm gonna imagine.
Okay.
I'm gonna push for, so that way we can fucking breathe. I'm gonna close the door behind me, and I'm gonna make it to where Floor Snap and I cannot be detected by any means.
Okay.
With my other 2 spell slots.
As you begin to picture this, the window slightly open. You're looking into the other side of the hallway of the tavern itself, where this room connects. A couple of shelves seem to kind of pop up. What looks to be a simple wooden slab for a bed, and some pots kind of set aside. You can kind of, as you begin to start to breathe, closing the door behind you, the cracking of the eggs kind of becoming louder as you look back. What was the last part you said you were going to do? Apologies, I missed that.
We cannot be. I make it to where Floor Snap and I cannot be detected for the next hour.
All right, and then you're using. You used a healing spell for Floor Snap. What was that? Oh, okay. I thought I heard. Okay, making sure. All right, cool. As you,
does not have healing.
I was like, wait a minute. All right. As you head into the side room, kind of sitting in here, a few moments kind of going by as you begin to hear a light bit of noise in the other room as Floor Snap seems to kind of eyes wide, come blinking open and looking up at the sky.
Where the hell am I?
Vaguely safe.
Oh, what happened?
You saturated the other room with a bunch of magic and created an entirely new species.
Oh, is that all?
Meanwhile, on the other side, we cut to Wara. Wara, you hear suddenly as something kind of wakes you up from your sleep as a loud knocking can be heard at the door. It's wet and slapping sound like.
I look around for anything to hit it with.
I mean, you're still wearing your equipment.
I look around for anything to hit it with.
There's a chair in front of what looks to be an armoire that has a mirror on it.
I grab the chair.
As you pick up
Come
the chair.
in!
As the door opens and you see a 5-foot-tall, big, orange-eyed, humanoid-shaped tree frog staring at you. Bright green and everything, just looking at you.
Wrong room. You're looking for my uncle. Go the other way.
The tree frog just looks over to the side where there's another door, looks back at you slowly nods up and down, and his wet hand kind of goes back to the knob of the door as he slowly, like it takes, I'm talking like 13 seconds of awkwardness as he closes his thing, and then turns and wet slap walks over to the other door, and as he does, Floor Snap, as you kind of say this to Vicarette, you suddenly then hear another wet slap knocking on the door.
Just like get up and like open the door, like ready, like telekinetic at the ready, just in case these fuckers have decided to challenge me for dominance as they've been born.
As you look on the other side and see a creature you don't recognize, they look to be tree frog-like and quite small. As you kind of get a look of them, no arcane powers, but they look slotty-ish.
I'm just gonna like sigh in deep disappointment. I was like, yeah, we're going to have to do a bit of work on you.
The head kind of lightly tilts to the aside, and you see the tongue slide out of its mouth as it just slowly unwinds, hits the floor, and then kind of unwinds a few more inches.
Maybe it's the troll part.
As you say this, you see the others kind of begin to walk up behind, and there is now a group of them just standing there staring at you blankly. Wara's door, thankfully still shut, as from what you can see, as these creatures just kind of stand there waiting.
Just like take a moment, like look them over, sigh deeply for a moment, and say, "I am your sire. You serve me, or you will die. Understood?"
They all seem to like slowly nod.
Excellent. In return, I will teach you power. And I will teach you to make the world your own.
They seem to slowly nod at that.
Good. You may be weak magically, but you seem to have a heart of avarice.
They seem to nod at that.
Excellent. Well, you are much too slow. Fight each other.
They seem to nod at that and just stand there and stare at you.
Oh, you guys don't understand. I got that word I'm saying, do you?
They seem to nod and stare at you.
Fucking
I want to reach out with telepathy,
Oh, there pokes her head, yeah.
and I'm gonna explain instantaneously what Floor Snap seems to be implying.
They
So that
all
way they have an understanding of it.
give me a fortitude save. Will save. My apologies. Vicaret.
Man, the things Vicaret does for Floor Snap largely pay for themselves.
Let's see. That's true. That is true. I yell from the other room. Uncle says. An 11. Vicaret, you are overloaded with a million images of all this group just fighting in this room in the most gruesome and horrific ways. They seem to all have their own implementations, thinking almost with 1,000 different thoughts running through their head all simultaneously, and it rushes into your mind, making you ill, physically ill, and begin to have your head pulse.
They're fighting. They're fighting, all right. Holy crap.
Oh. Well then.
I'm going down.
As Vicaret says this, holding her head, turning as you look back at them, Floor Snap, seeing water as from the other side with the door open. One of them begins to drool, and another, you see a fly kind of land on his eye and just sit there. These creatures seem completely unresponsive as you look out at them.
Well, I'm gonna let that happen for a little while.
As you walk out, Wara staring through the door. Wara's inner monologue is clearly shown on his face as you get a good look at him. As the two of you kind of enter the main room, as we jump back over to Zurus and Nara, the two of you kind of join back at the table, there suddenly feels, as you smell something like almost as if it's burnt, kind of in the air. Looking back, you can see what looks to be a darkened black smoke coming out from the hallway, near close to the doorway where your room is, Captain Azurus and Nara.
Well,
Oh, shit. All right, hold on. Let's go.
As you start to head back, walking into there, as you kind of look at the door, or look in the window, you can see Vicaret laying down on what looks to be a wooden slab. A door seemingly open in a weird storage-like room as you look in there, kind of between the two of you. Walking over to the door and opening it, more blackened smoke seems to just poof out right into your face, covering you in this almost thick, like dust-like substance that does not smell good as you look in and see what looks to be Floor Snap kind of walking about, inspecting a bunch of tree frog-like creatures that are just standing, staring straight off to the right in front of them, looking blankly as Wara kind of comes out of another room, looking irritated and quite a little bit tired. A chair still in one hand, ready to hit something.
Definitely. Seeing all this, seeing that this, whatever these are, the air quotes slotties are born. As because I do want to test if they are still in some way bound to me, with the souls of the sailors, if they're like any part anymore. I guess I'll give an order of like attention to see if they are still somewhat bound to me, and if not, then at least I know.
Okay, give me a sense motive as you say this.
Right.
Ah, man.
Sense motive.
I definitely would magically connect with these creatures, especially if it's one of your primary casting stats.
Well, I'm not. I'm just giving an order. Stand to attention.
Let's see.
That is a 18.
As you look, their bodies don't shift or even move. The blank stares, the tongues lying on the ground, nothing changes, but something seems different. Like, it's as if they did snap to attention, yet their bodies didn't move as you look at them, Azurus.
Interesting. So it's not like a physical. It wasn't like a physical snap to attention.
No, it seems almost as if you can feel the attention of these creatures suddenly on you, but it's strange that they're not moving or doing anything. They're just standing there blankly.
Oh, this isn't good. I don't know what these are, but this isn't good.
Floor Snap, I take it these are the new recruits.
Oh, I think Floor Snap has unfortunately swallowed something, and by that I mean muted, so there he goes.
There we go.
He spits out the block of cheese.
Go, shit, what was I saying? Oh, I was like, yes, they're not quite slobby, but I'm not exactly sure what the hell they are. They seem mentally powerful, but not so much expressive on the physical.
Uncle, they do seem mental.
Well, they were able to. Well, I don't know if it was because of the troll that they were, or if it has something to do with the interference with the plane. Probably plane interference. That's my guess.
Yes. Well, as Captain Zeus kind of goes, hands behind his back, kind of looking, walking past them, inspecting them one by one.
Just to like going through like a couple of tests just to see. I ask one of them to just step forward, see if they do that.
As you say this, give me a sense motive check. Spicy.
16.
16. You feel. Are you standing in front of this individual as you say this?
No, if I'm asking to step forward, I'm not going to be in front of him.
Okay. You do feel almost as if a force is pushed to the side of you, as if the figure has stepped forward, but you do not see the body move, nor do the eyes twitch, nor does the expression change. It looks as blank as ever.
If I were to put my hand in that area, is there something solid there?
As you kind of test it, give me a will save.
Hey, I'm good at these, I think. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I'm good at these. That is a 26.
You do succeed. You do not feel immensely sick immediately, but you do feel your stomach churn for a moment and your mind almost feel like it's being pushed into, as if someone was trying to operate on your on your brain in an open skull surgery. It doesn't feel right in any way, as it seems to dissipate just as quickly as it comes to you.
do you mind using your physical body to step forward?
The body moves forward.
Well, Floorstep, it looks like these guys can operate on two separate planes at once.
Should be good. Sounds useful.
No.
But that means we're going to have to be specific when we ask them to do things. Looks like their natural state is probably more on the mental side of things than their physical.
As you inspect
They're
them,
all right.
very irritated with these things on his eyes. Tie a little bit of black bags under his eyes from the lack of sleep. As you look him up and down, Captain Azuris, give me a profession sailor check, please.
Profession sailor. Another 26.
Okay. These individuals look to be, if you like looking them up and down, they're thin. Like even compared to Floorsnap, who's got a little bit more meat on him. These individuals are, you'd guess, maybe $120 maximum. They are skin and bones for their size and shape. Their muscles seem to be very lean and elongated. Their arms being longer. They don't, from everything about them, give you any thought that they physically would make good sailors or even good soldiers to follow your command. Mentally, though, it seems that they have powers that could probably match, if not outdo, Floorsnap himself.
You know, if we were able to even just train these guys up a little bit physically, I would essentially have double the crew, but with half the actual number.
Yeah. The physical body's largely overrated. I just begin like doing like telekinetic tricks around the room that like would take like 12 people to fucking do.
Making the strange instrument with weird strings in different places kind of float as it just kind of moves around playing itself.
Yeah, if I could just, if truth be told, if I have these, if I have these men sit below deck and just operate the ship mentally, might not be bad. Not as many bodies roaming about. Maybe even psionic attacks on enemy vessels.
As Captain Zer's kind
very
of,
well outside.
as he paces back and forth, kind of stroking his chin, thinking about this.
As a curiosity, I do wish to take a look at the soul coins and see if they have been changed.
They are the same, thankfully.
Okay. Well, it looks like Floorsnap, we have a powerful band of, at the very least, people with a grand mental capacity, such as yourself. If we can train them as even just regular soldiers, that'd be quite fantastic. So, Vicarette, I
I'll
know
train them
we're
all.
probably. You sure how you train is gonna be fit for them?
It's more fit than training them to be like water.
Floorsnap points, and where War was standing a moment ago, and now as you hear the door kind of snap closed shut, as you see, can tell he went back to bed.
Fair enough.
But I mean,
Alright,
Well, I didn't go back to bed. I took 3 steps away from the door, still holding the damn chair.
Oh, fair.
If we're out and about, what do you plan on doing with them? Telling them just to sit and stay?
They immediately
Oh.
sit and stay.
they're too immature to be out and about just yet.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Plan to get them to find their inner voice first. And then they may be subject to being taken out. But, well, they are our secret weapon. The more people that know that there are Saladi on this plane, the more people will probably take exception to it.
Oh, so those are slotty? Nara's gonna point at the weird creatures and not fucking floor snap.
Oh, yes, a new kind.
Not quite.
Similar but different, you know?
I think I could agree to that. I need to ponder it more. I have no idea what the hell they are.
like it'd be like comparing me to like an Efreeti. We're similar but still very much different.
I look at
But
Captain Azuris, who looks like a blue human to me.
well, humans don't exist.
Humanoid, yeah.
A blue Goliath to me.
There you go.
I just like turn to Nara and be like, "Or to me, to you. I'm also a dragon."
As Floor Snap kind of pulls up his sleeve, and you see one small baby scale that has grown back in this entire time, kind of there. As the rest of it looks like it's been peeled apart.
Oh, man. You let someone skin you? Ugh.
I was gonna make myself a nice. I think it was gonna be a belt, actually.
Ah, belt. Yeah.
James is gonna enjoy that.
Other guys got scales too. I got
Of course.
scales. You can't take my scales, so I'm using them.
Naturally. Of course, my skills. I wanted to try and use them to enhance my the powers I already have. Unfortunately, we got to whisk away here before I could receive whatever that smith was going to make of me. On the off chance, is there a way to retrieve things from the other place here? Just objects, not people. Imagine that might be significantly simpler.
Some of the leaders of hell can do that. You just give them a description or like a material connection to it, and then they can kind of summon the object to them as long as it's not being held by someone stronger than them.
If I am correct, DM,
Yes.
wasn't one of the things for like getting all of our equipment back was getting Wara and Flores have to agree to the second contract of fighting the Cryptic Cabal, not the Cryptic Cabal, the Sunday.
Correct. The unfortunate sons.
Yes. Slipped my mind with all the craziness, but I do have one way of getting our equipment back. Not that you'd like it. So when I was making the deal, if we agree to do the secondary job for that entity, they would bring over the equipment.
I see. They give you some kind of deadline on this.
Yes, a month's time.
All right. My thought is we look for a month, see if we can't find a way around it. Don't trust that thing has anything close to our interests in its heart.
Oh, probably not. I mean, it makes deals like I do.
Oh wait, you guys made a deal and I got you sent in here?
I didn't make a deal, weirdly enough.
Oh.
Floor Snap recalling like the offer and not having.
Does this man of lawlessness look like he'd make deals?
Oh
You
yeah.
can barely trust what I'm gonna do what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that I did what I said I did.
That's true. It's always a mystery with you, but it's both annoying and fun at the same time.
Wara, you can speak.
But
But yeah,
just gonna put this out there. You made a deal to get sent here. Did you have any cards in that deal at all? Like, were you able to do something that this being that sent you here could not do?
that's an excellent question. Well, one of the things was he would get us out of a precarious situation, and all that we would do is just have to get out of here by ourselves. It was the second stipulation that was a bit more selfish on my part, and I would rather not get into that at the time being.
I will mention, Nara, at the mention of like getting out of Moors, They've basically been handed a death sentence. This is not. There's not many gods that can pull this off. Like that takes an individual near like level 40 as a normal individual to try to attempt that, as an example. So he's got big dreams, or either Azurus has the biggest balls you've ever seen, or he was in the greatest peril of his life.
So, just gonna put this out there, but do you know what my plan is for getting out of here?
Killing a bunch of folk?
Oh no, not yet. I'm currently 98 years old. So in 300 years, I will be big enough to actually start taking those quests.
Wara and Azurus, because Floorsnap, you would have been in prison, so this wouldn't matter for you. Both of you give me knowledge history checks real quick when you hear this. And Wara, actually use your mic, or I swear to God, I will come down there and kick your old butt. Don't make me.
11.
11, 14? Okay.
I have to use intelligence as I do not have knowledge history. Okay. There, I used my mic.
Thank you. Did you just fart at me? Fuck you. No, wait, 11, 14. Roughly as you hear this timeline, something that kind of catches your attention about that, Azurus, you're not sure why that date seems kind of specifically, reminds you of something, but something about that sounds like there was something familiar you remember in the news, or in the passerbys, kind of going on around that time period that was important, but it doesn't come to mind. Wara, you remember roughly hearing around about 75, 80 years ago, a major event happened where a whole clan of dragons got sent off to another plane of existence. And there are some who believe that that is where the Lord of Moors came from. A hellfire worm that is one of the listed apex monsters of the world.
I just yell out hellfire worm, damn it.
What?
You look over at Wara hearing this suddenly. It's snapping.
No, he hears it through the closed doors. Remember, the doors are closed.
That's right, I'm sorry. He's still got his chair in hand ready in case these things decide to come after him. Wara saw one zombie film and he's not taking chances here. One slotty film, sorry. Good, though. Sorry, Azurus.
Hellfire worm. Is the Hellfire worm of your clan or of your kind? That got sent over here that many, many years ago?
Nara, to your note, that name is not familiar, and a hellfire worm is not something you know of.
What?
Well, has any of your kind ever gotten back to the material plane?
I'm gonna look at the staff in my hand.
You see the staff made of what looks to be copper scales, a dragon's skull at the tip of it with gems that look to, or a gem that looks to be a king's tear inside of it, kind of glimmering with bits of magic.
I look back. No. With a shrug.
Interesting. What, do you become what do you become in 300 years? I know you're a dragon, but what would that make you at that point? If you don't mind me asking. No, it's quite impolite to ask.
Hold on a second. True dragon. Da, 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 da.
As you see a blank look on Nara's face for a moment as you ask this, and she pulls out what looks to be a really ragged notebook that clearly isn't hers originally, and it's like burnt up and scarred as she starts like looking through it for something. A couple of what looks to be like little scales kind of fall out. You go ahead.
I hit the what's known as the old category of dragondom.
Okay.
And at that point, I will be just shy of twice as physically strong, half again as tough, a lot smarter, hopefully, a lot more wise, hopefully, a lot more. I don't know if I could get any more charming, but it's possible.
As Nara like looks at herself and like looks back at you, as if she's like a goddess just walking around, like she knows it.
Well, that timetable doesn't suit me too well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna probably do some crazy shit, make a name for ourselves, and get stronger in the process.
All right.
Is the silence thing turned on?
It is.
Okay, great.
The real silence thing
Yes.
or the fake silence?
No, the
thing?
real one. Yeah, now that you actually know where it is, yes. No, it hasn't been turned off.
All right. So, now that we're all Wara, get out here.
No.
As you hear from the other side of the door, as it sounds like War's like next to the door now, listening in.
I look towards. For a moment, I linger on Captain Azuris, and then I turn to Floor Snap, and I was like, "Can you?" I lean over to Floor Snap, and I say, "If you imagine really hard that door is not there, it'll go away."
Oh, here, let me try. And I like rip the door apart.
You watch as War, as you're kind of like standing there next to the door listening, just so you can hear everything. Suddenly, as you're listening, it gets a lot clearer. As everything they say sounds like almost like you're in the room. As you look over, and suddenly like ash begins to pile up, and the door is nothing but bits of shards of metal and wood ash.
Damn it, Uncle!
We've got information to talk about. You need to be involved.
I look around the room, seeing all the orange frogs sitting. They're not gonna move, are they?
Not
No.
until we tell them to.
I put
wonder
the
if they
chair
can
down.
dance.
Following the wall, I walk over to them.
So you put down the chair. One of them, kind of at the mention of dance, you see a little bit of a beat beginning to go as he starts to make a thumbing noise or a thumping noise with his finger. It's actually not bad.
I hightail it over to my uncle. I'm never watching one of your family movies ever again.
You know, I do like the sign of a little bit of individuality amongst them.
I do too, especially sarcasm. That's a sign
Yeah.
of great intelligence in Slutty.
Yeah, it's good. So at least it means they're not not gonna be a complete lost cause, or at least need someone always watching over them.
You watch as a fly flies into one of their mouth and then comes out in your hole.
At least in the future, that is. All right. So, Nara, would you like to share first of what you found out from those dwarves of lust?
That sounds like a horrible sentence to say out loud.
It is a horrible sentence, but that's the best way I can describe them.
They were pretty horny, yeah. Anyways, they
Wara's imagining little drooling dwarves with horns all over them.
So, anyways, the Lord of Lust, Cupidity, I can't pronounce his name. It's a weird dwarven name.
I don't think he's a dwarf.
Probably not, but it's
I'll post it, don't worry.
Q-tip.
Lady Cupiditas. Cupidit.
I like Cupid. That's funny.
Anyways, she's the Lord of Lust, and she basically conscripts anyone who comes into her territory under her control if they're not under the control of someone else.
No, that makes sense.
The guys that hunt Slad are armor-plated oozes.
Isn't there another quest out there with oozes on the main road for the under the Emperor? Do you think those quests might be related?
They shrug.
Interesting.
Hell.
Now, honestly, I'm kind of more inclined to fight them at this point because they're oozes. Like, most of my family don't really care for oozes, insofar as like they can't hurt us.
And you said they're armored, yes?
Yeah.
Anything else? Or is that the extent of what you got from them?
Um. That's about it, really.
Yeah, alright. No worries. As for the people I talked to, they're Tritons, and they're wave callers. I was able to find out from them about at least a couple of ways to get out of moors that aren't just waiting it out. But it still might be quite a task to do so. One way is to get 7 favors, one from Lords of Hell. And from what they told me, it would be the task would be, stopping wars or assassinating high nobility.
Or raiding the tomb of someone who got a favor and taking the favor from their dead body.
Or just stealing their shit, I imagine.
Yeah, stealing is one, but that might be one of the more difficult ways to get it.
But one of the more expedient ones.
True.
I shrug.
But it's just more and more enemies to be made. When
If
we
we're
still get
leaving, then-
7 of them. Well, influences can, go beyond planes, and if I can avoid making any more enemies down here, I'd prefer that. Now there is that one prince. Now we could
Oh yeah,
either
that reminds me. There was a prince that was killed not too long ago.
Oh really?
Laura
Oh,
sort of
who?
stops and uh-oh.
Do you know what got him?
Um,
They,
Damn, what got him?
they didn't mention. They just said, they only described it as seeing something killed him.
Well, because from I believe what you.
Oh no! Yes, I did
that's when
describe it. My
the
apologies.
Were described.
That
was the black oozes in armor.
Yes, my apologies. I did describe it. I see here. Yes, my notes. Yes, they described it as a ooze-like creature in solid armor, and described them as the frog slayers themselves.
Yeah, this is the Slotty Slayers killed the prince.
Interesting. So these slotty slayers are hunting off the main road, but there's also another quest that says there's oozes off the main road as well. Interesting.
I'd rather fight a Medusa.
I don't favor our chances. I'm just being honest. I
I've-
fought these
I've-
fucking things back in the material plane.
Ah,
Oh, these black ooze creatures?
Yeah, we had a whole ass war.
Interesting. What can you tell us about these guys besides their black oozes in armor?
Give me a knowledge history. I wasn't planning to make that canon. That was full on joke. But you know what? Fuck it.
I thought it was canon. My bad.
No, not at all. I meant that as a joke, but I will write that later.
Now it is.
It might
I
be.
think I just got significantly older.
No, not at all.
It was a 29.
29. Yes, actually. So there is a special kind of creature born in a plane of lawfulness. They are exactly the opposite of Slotty in every way, and they actually feed off Slotty. What they call the Ooze War is what the modern world understands these creatures as were oozes. These are called Chaos Eaters. They look like black oozes, but in a sense, they can kind of morph their form into humanoids and just walk around in full plate. And they like to devour sloths. They're very good, in fact, at eating sloths. kind of their only thing they're very good at. Those who aren't Slaads, they can't do much against other than normal damage of whatever level or whatever adventure they are. But to Slaads, they are basically like a venom. They will devour them whole, swallow them, and there's not much you can do about it.
That's interesting.
So I guess that other prince was a slug.
Well, either that or they're, even without being a slot, they're still powerful adventurers.
As it cuts to Nara's own mind of like picturing a very fat and plump noble who hasn't seen combat and besides very powerful magic are very lazy in her head and kind of looks at you lot with that in mind.
And just like
Well.
looking at Wara specifically.
Who's very fit and in good shape. Like he doesn't fit any form of a nobleman amongst the devils.
Well, hey, you know,
Yeah.
like there's that 1 in 10 nobles that actually like put work in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either this guy's much more impressive or he's very weak. One of the two, because he didn't get fed very well back home.
Well, to be fair, even if it was like a slot, like floor snap's not physically impressive. That
True.
doesn't matter.
That's true.
Yeah, but you're the magi. You're the magic guy.
Which it could be, because to be fair, you guys haven't you haven't been told what devil like nobility are, or what they look like, or anything. So
Mhm. I know that the only thing that we've gotten so far from just people talking at least about, you know, Prince War over here is that he is. People think he's one of the Pride's princes,
correct. Yep.
and Pride is the emperor of these hells.
No, that is not a correct summation. I would be very careful in that
Oh, no.
language.
So, no. So,
Unless he just
Pride-
calls himself emperor just out of pride.
yeah, for more of that. But anyways, don't call him emperor. He started a war, tried to conquer everything, lost the war. Just so we're clear.
Okay.
As you think back, kind of reminding you of the story of the First Flame, that might be the depiction of the Unification War that they were talking about. The wave colors, for reference, Azurus.
Who's the guy in charge of greed around here?
Oh, give me a minute.
Because we're in gluttony territory, right?
Correct. Grand Duchess Gula's territory, as you've been told.
Mm-hmm.
One
You know,
momentum.
I know that that one guy, that glue guy, I know he's looking to assassinate a prince, but what if we were to do it instead? Get a favor from the Duchess.
Here it is.
Ah.
That would be his name for both Nara and for the notes, as you mentioned, this Azurus.
Yeah, I'll say his name out loud. Why not?
So you have any notable presence on the material plane that I may or may not be aware of?
You can give me a knowledge planes or knowledge religion.
I just meant history.
You can try for history, sure.
28.
28? No. He is not at all a notable character to any books or anything you've seen or read or experienced.
I just like smile or like nod like very sagely and say, I've never heard of that guy.
So what do you guys do? You think so? If we're to, so what? Let me forget the other way to get out. I neglected to say that before we move on talking about what we're gonna do. Another way is to sacrifice 11 people
That's what you were told.
that you care about to get out.
Oh shit.
Oh well, I'm safe.
I don't have those.
Yeah, me neither. As Zurus thinks about the 12 crew he has in his pocket.
Not at all. Yeah.
Nonetheless, hold on 1 second, come back to me.
We can pause real quick if it sounds like he had something pop up. As we come back from Wara having a quick discussion of his dream with the crew. As Azurus kind of comes back to the crew here, but go ahead, Azurus, as you were saying.
just wanted to get ideas from you all to get out of this plane of hell, this moors. Do we intend on getting these 7 favors? If we do find 11 people to sacrifice that we care about, which might be unlikely in this plane, or we can bank on maybe finding another way out. But as it stands, besides, you know, Nara here waiting till an extra 300 years later to get out, we don't have that kind of time.
If it helps at all, uh, do you know if it's 12 people and the gate opens and everyone can go through, or is it perhaps 12 people each?
No idea.
I bet it's 12 people each. Otherwise, it'd be too easy.
Unless it's just it takes 12 sacrifices to open the door, and then it's open for a short period of time. That could be the case too, but without any more information, we've got no idea of knowing. So, and if that's the case, if we need 12 people each, we've got all of us and our
As he looks
our
over at
priest.
the frog that watching another cockroach climb into the thing's mouth, seemingly as the thing seems to crunch down, swallow it, and then go back to staring blankly at the ceiling.
I think those gentlemen will be hard pressed to find anybody to care about in the foreseeable future.
Oh, they'd sacrifice each other.
You
Yeah, the
suddenly
problem is you have to care
feel
about them.
a mental break as they start fighting each other once again in their minds, trying to kill each other at the mention of sacrifice each other.
No, don't
Yeah,
actually do it.
Yeah. The caveat is people you care about.
They stop fighting immediately, and the bodies go again back to lacking of any sort of movement.
I think it might be a loophole we can exploit. The Lord's favor thing strikes me as oddly contrived. I think it might just be essences of sin. I think Vicaret could probably figure it out.
I'd definitely be curious as, because I feel like every lord would want something different to earn their favor. I know I was given the example of stopping wars or killing princes, but I don't know if that would be the same for every lord of hell.
We could also just steal the essences of the sin in their domains, make our own keys, and try and get out that way.
If that's the case, I'd say we start at the bottom and I'll work our way up.
I guess what do you view as the bottommost sin?
Well, I guess. Well, never mind. I've kind of just remembered that the planes of hell aren't like like Dante's Inferno. It's one plane just with different regions.
Currently, that is correct, as Nara kind of pulls out what roughly looks like a really crude drawn map of her own travels, and the routes of where she's gone, and to help her kind of guide along between the different major cities. As you realize, there's not much development in the vast open regions. There's a lot of open just territory of creatures and bandits, as her map kind of dictates from other people's past travels with her, mentioning it to it. You do see that they do have the notes of who is what, as Nara would already know who each of the leaders are and roughly what they kind of represent as a general thing. Thus what I posted in the chat there. I can go down that for you, though. So with that being the Grand Duchess of Gula, or Gula herself of Gluttonous, Lady Cupidus Lust, the Black Merchant Lucrum, Bruni General Iracundia of Wrath, Emperor Fastus, almost like fascist, of Pride, Queen Ignavia of Sloth, and Count Livor of Envy.
Nara, you know far more about the comings and goings of this plane than certainly I. We are, of course, in the lands of Grand Duchess Gula, and this being the realm of gluttony, If you do have any inkling of anything that maybe she has yet to try, I'm not sure if it's more of food gluttony or just gluttony in just general of something she does not yet have excess of that she would like to. If any rumors have been going about.
Give me a gather info or knowledge planes. I'll take either. Nara.
Gather information. It is.
Solid.
10. The Grand Duchess likes unique things to eat. And when I'm talking like unique, I'm not talking like food, per se. Like, she likes anything that's unique, from living creatures that struggle and fight back to objects of great wealth and value. It really doesn't matter. It just has to be something of that she's never had before. That would be, yes, War. That would be a good example of something as something you haven't seen before.
Me neither, and that's saying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Mayhaps. Maybe one of our recruits in exchange for a favor might be enough.
Give me a will
This
save,
isn't-
Zurus.
I guess they don't like that, huh? Their lies locked. All right, let's see here. That is a 13 plus 13. What? 26.
Okay. You see as one of the ones in the center's tongue begins to suddenly roll back up like a fruit roll up into its mouth, and as it closes its mouth, its eyes suddenly stop glazing and look straight at Azurus. Anger clearly depicted upon its face as Azurus begins to feel his mind bombarded with mind thrusts, as if a spear was trying to stab at it. Azurus, you get a full mental image as if this guy's trying to outright kill you without concern. But as you feel as your will manages to pull away, you manage to clear your mind, avoiding the initial attack. The creature seemingly going back to a lacking creature as its tongue rolls back out of its mouth and it gives a blank stare once more.
All right, I give a little smirk, like, all right, they are listening.
Told you, mentally present, not physically.
His floor snap kind of pokes one and it starts to slightly tip over and then just fully falls over.
Well, it's always good to make sure, because they did do a physical movement after I aggravated them. Wanted to make sure that they were, still all there, and the reactions were still something to, at least something to work on. But yes, we won't be doing that. I'm sorry to frighten you, or at least earn your ire.
As the creature's bodies continue just to stare blankly off into space.
Yes. Let's see. So giving the Grand Duchess probably something she's never had before, or something of great value, might be enough to earn a favor. Or perhaps instead of the 10 full soul coins, we could get the favor instead. If we take this the slod job. My question would be for you, Florstep, is are you comfortable with that job? I know I know they'd be pretty much your antithesis.
Yeah, I have no intention of fighting them. Chances are they would get stronger with me being there.
Is there any way you'd be able to play a support role during the combat?
Yeah, sure. I can be, a good quarter-mile away.
As you can see, there's a look in Floorsnap's eyes that clearly says he is not getting anywhere close to this creature.
It's also a comment like my telekinetic range is like a full 1,000 feet.
It's true. That's true.
Do you know if they have abilities that resist polymorph or anything like that?
Oh yeah, they're shape changers.
Well, I mean, if I were to like, I don't know, if you weren't a slot, or if you were like not the thing that they kill, because I don't know that you're a slot. If you weren't the thing that they kill or eat, these chaos eaters. If you weren't a creature of chaos, would they be weakened? Would you be able to fight them then?
Fuller Step, I will tell you outright, without the chaotic, is your being a slotting outright makes you chaotic no matter what. You'd have to completely change your base species.
Yeah. Also, like, because like a lot of Slod have like the shape change like ability, so like them not being able to like thwart that would be bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Because like otherwise we could be like, oh, I'm just a human guy now. But, so yeah, like take a moment, like compose my thoughts and explain. Well, the Slod are mercurial. They can change shape on a whim, depending on which one of them there are. So they respond more to the essence of the creature than simply its shape. Otherwise, it'd be very easy to thwart their attentions.
Question: Can any of you just really quickly are any of you able to like detect alignment?
For what it's worth, one of my uncles was was it my uncle? No, it was my grandfather. My grandfather was a Mercury dragon. I nod when you mention mercurial.
At the mention of the detect alignment, you do hear as War kind of pops up with that.
War, do you mind if you're willing, see what these guys' alignment is?
I look at one of them and I roll
Okay.
to discern its alignment. I got a 14, which tells me if it's evil, good, lawful, or unlawful.
This creature is lawful.
Fuck.
Is it evil or good?
Neither.
So
Double
it's
fuck.
Interesting.
These.
I'll look at another one and do
uh-huh.
it again.
Okay. Roll again. Let's see what you got.
I get the complete alignment story.
They are fully lawful neutral.
Yeah, Captain, they're all lawful neutral.
So what I'm hearing is that we have, essentially very powerful slotty that are going to be so good against these guys.
Floorsnap's just like in the corner, like distraught and like crying. Like his progeny have failed him. He disappointed him on a level. It's not even possible.
Floorsnap, hey, listen.
I'm gonna trot over and start patting Floorsnap on the back, and Draconic start comforting him like a
Hey man,
older
I know it's
sister
rough
type.
when your kids go against everything that you are, but think about it this way: you now have slotty that are a complete counter to something that is a complete counter to you.
Yes, but they're never going to listen to me.
Just because you're not lawful, they're still lawful. They can take orders.
Oh, they're going to try and kill me.
Hey,
as Floorsnap takes a peek into their minds and senses a plot of coup amongst them and sees the imagery of him being cooked in a pot.
They don't know that Floorsnap is chaotic yet. He has at least an hour of non-detection.
That's not, and they're not doing that because of his chaoticness. He knows what this is.
Overthrow your father, classic stuff.
Yeah, it's like, that's basic slotty biology. It was like, I thought I could curb them by their like appetite for power, but no, they're lawful. They'll try and do it. Just because they want to.
Well, they follow directions to a T. I essentially just have to tell them what to do, and they do it. Well, we do. If we're able to maybe take a week, Wara, you can get on this since you're, an actual warrior, drills and such. I know sailing drills.
Why do you keep calling him Wara?
It's a nickname I've given him.
Oh, okay.
I've had it since I was a child.
Wait, I have a plan. Let's make these guys the Lords of Sin, and we'll leave them behind. And use their favors.
Nara, just a quick note. As you hear the word Wara, to note in Infernal, which is the common language of this plane, Wara means furry shirt. So, like, he has
Furry
a shirt. Like, he wears a very fur, like, fluffed up shirt. That's literally all it translates to.
You should have seen me when as I speak in Infernal. You should have seen me when I was younger.
As Lara kind of puffs his chest out, like, just a little bit more naturally as his armor kind of perks up a bit more.
So, these things need chaos, right? These things we're about to fight? Should we probably, know what each other's alignments are so that way we know if we can actually fight them? Because I don't know what alignment I am.
Wara?
I do a turn alignment on Nara.
Alright, give me a d20 roll. Oh, well, shit.
Hold on. I only know if Nara is evil or good.
I am good aligned.
There you go.
Huh. I guess we don't know if they're lawful or chaotic or neutral. Well, I'm not chaotic by any means.
I'm neutral good.
As you all turn to floor snap.
Yeah,
What,
you don't
you
have to
have to
say
ask?
anything. You don't have to say anything, but no, we got it.
I am chaos personified.
I was just picturing War making the check on floor snap and then tesseracting.
Right? As you guys go around kind of mentioning this, you hear one of the creatures kind of stand up, and you see as he stands up physically, looking as the tongue kind of rolls into his mouth, his eyes kind of narrowing and focusing, and you hear the creature speak and go, lawful, neutral. And as it kind of rivets quite loudly, you hear the word in Slotty, Hylonian. Which I will spell that for you. To you, by the way, floor snap off the top of your head, that is just gibberish.
I was like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait, did you just name yourself?
What do you say, Floor Snap?
He said the word that doesn't make any sense. I repeated it for you. I tried to tell you the pronunciation would make your throat bleed, I think.
Well, what should we call it? What should we call him then? It looks like he's picking up things quicker than the rest.
He looks over, and the creature just kind of falls backwards, laying on its back, just staying completely like a board.
Well, he's still quicker than the rest, I suppose.
I kind of poke him. It's like, you're trying to tell me your name.
The creature looks up at you, kind of bringing its head up only, the rest of the body kind of still stiff as it looks up, and again repeats the same word again, goes, however this time you hear it proper as you hear it whispered quietly and a bit more softer, as he pronounces, actually, High Lioness. And as you hear this word, recognizing this, it means lesser slod. A term used for those who had slod-like abilities, but were not purebreds. Those who committed the ultimate sin and were created from it. So, kind of like your own clan, not well loved.
So I guess they're just saying what they are.
As you hear this is seems to be a term that they seem to learn themselves. There's no reason you would have mentioned this. You didn't say anything to this perspective, and this doesn't look like the creature you recognize Floor Snap. The creatures you recognize from the period that would be called that looked more frog-like. Some were toad, big bit more bullish, less, capable, but, they still all shared a common ancestry. These look a bit more, or these look more foreign in that perspective.
Yeah. Also, I have not taught them slotty yet, so that's fucking alarming.
Yep.
It might be like a natural thing. Who knows?
You see Floor Snap more worried as he says that, looking at the creature.
Just like turn contemplatively, like think about it, and just kind of like grasp my spawn by like by the shoulders and say, you're not what I expected, but I am proud of you.
You see tears well up in that very simple face.
So I think we should install these guys as the Lords of Hell.
Absolutely not.
Why not?
When you guys look over after Floor Snap has said that he's proud of these creatures, you can see Nara I'm staring at my staff and starting to tear it myself.
These guys are way too valuable to leave behind. We don't intend on replacing. Well, I mean, I don't intend on replacing the Lords of Hell. That's going to be a hell of a task, way beyond us.
Pun intended.
Well, I mean, these guys are like fundamentally lawful creatures, right?
Yep.
I gesture at the. And this is a fundamentally lawful plane.
Well, it's the fact that they're also neutrals what I'm worried about.
Well, they're neutral right now.
Yes, that's the problem. I'm worried about myself being somewhat neutral, from what we've heard about what happens to those of neutral alignments.
How do you think I feel? I'm pure fucking chaos.
Yes, but you're not neutral in any way, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Yeah, so you're in our same boat. From what we've heard from the guards is that those of neutral alignments get warped way more than any of those who aren't, lawful evil.
I'm in trouble.
Laura suddenly looks up, realizing suddenly.
Yeah, we're all kind of...
As you all look up back to Wara, you see two small black horns that are already appearing on his forehead.
Ah, well, hey, I guess you're looking... never mind. Looks like your horns are finally coming in, Prince.
Like tentatively pat my own forehead.
Thankfully, nothing there.
I touched my forehead.
You feel something sharp and pointy. It doesn't pierce you, but it comes close, Wara, as it's sharp. They're like
Joyous
tiny tacks.
Joyous day for you, Sir Prince. Your horns are coming in.
One second thought.
Goody!
Let me check what my alignment is.
I will say, Wara, as you look at your arm band, I will also mention, you notice that the where it used to read the Redemption, now reading Corruption, is also changed from the dark leather color it was to it's slowly beginning to turn to a faded purplish coloration.
Oh, goody. My clan is going to kill me if I ever go back.
And Floor Step, you said you were going to do what? You're checking your alignment?
Oh, I asked Wara to check my alignment.
Oh, okay.
I can't. I can only do it 3 times a day, and I've already done it 4 times.
Just make a pose of great despair.
Anyway,
But trust me,
also-
Uncle, you're chaotic.
Yeah, that's not the part I'm worried about.
going back to the favors thing. Nara, I'm a warrior myself. I'm not big on laws. All I do is protect folk. Do you happen to know of the laws of these lands? If it's, truly illegal to, go out of your way to kill a princeling?
You look over at Wara, kind of the side of your eye, and then look back at Nara.
So, anyways, just gonna
Whoa.
lay this out for you. There are so many laws in these lands that, and because the plane is lawful evil, just about everything is against the law in one way or another.
Mhm.
The
Nara.
question is, how much of it is it actually worth their time to enforce? Are you strong enough to resist the enforcement? And does anyone actually know that you violated a law? Like, if you can argue them, uh, it's the better you can argue the law, the harder it is for them to uh, really do anything about it.
She
So
meant
a lot of people just get by on pure charisma as far as laws go.
Gotcha.
as Nara mentions this, you see as she's like tapping a little like a thick dictionary-sized book that you can sense magic coming from. That's like it's a law book, and she's like flips through pages, kind of showing, explaining this. You can see like some laws have been crossed out and like rewritten in. Some you can see have like very specific individuals just named in the law, like it only applies to that person. As like it goes on as she flips through this book that you can see is magically just designed to be small, as there's thousands of pages.
And of course, I know subterfuge and probably more like spy work is probably what goes on mostly between the actual nations going against each other instead of all out war, correct?
I
A bit
mean,
more dealings instead of actual combat, at least currently.
As Nara, as you kind of think about it, there's a couple of small minor conflicts right now going on, some battles here and there, but nothing like there's no major like unification war to your knowledge.
yeah, I'll explain that.
Okay.
Hmm. And you said you are in some kind of debt to, the glue out there at the front, yeah.
I owe him a tab.
Want to not owe him a tab?
To the one coin you owe the man that's like not really a big tab.
Oh, I was under the impression that I thought you said like owed like 50 coins or something like that, or like a large like debt.
No,
He didn't say how big the debt was. He just said that she owed him a debt.
it's funny, but Nara basically has a very light bar tab for one simple fact of the matter is that, like, you saw how I get drinks and stuff like that. And fun fact about copper dragons, they're one of the many, many kinds of dragons that can eat literally anything and be fine, including just raw sand.
Don't test that theory, please. Um, but no, yeah. As you kind of mentioned this, Nara kind of looking at this, knowing that she only owns a coin. That's up to you how you want to react, Nara.
Oh well.
I mean, you weren't told anything, to be fair, Zura. So
Yeah, I was under the assumption that there was a big debt to maybe incentivize going along with my plan. All right, never mind. I'm gonna say my plan anyway. All right. So let's say hypothetically, Mr. Glue out there intended on assassinating a prince. What if
Okay.
we
Hold on. Wait a minute, Captain.
hold? But let me finish war before we say anything. What if we hypothetically were to go to the Duchess and report on that to potentially stop a war breaking out because of a prince's assassination in another nation, and mayhaps getting a favor off of that? Does this hypothetically work out in your mind? Maybe.
Well, I just want to highlight something.
Yes. I mean, this is hypothetical because I'm not familiar with the laws of these territories.
So, like, 20 minutes ago, I mentioned that a prince was, like, dragged down and killed by a bunch of brigands.
Yes.
Nobody knows or cares.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but these are brigands we're not talking about, not in the territory, at least in the city of a Lord of Hell.
So, let me put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of Hell has a prince assassinated. There's a back and forth. It's all for show. Great, cool. A bunch of filthy fucking brigands kills a prince.
and then the ruler who suffered that is gonna cover it up by any means necessary because it's embarrassing. Like it's, you know, Hobo walked up and coughed on the local royalty and he got sick and died in 2 seconds. Like it'd be a laughing stock. Everyone will laugh at you.
I'm not talking about the guy that got killed out in the wilds. I'm talking about if a guy was killed out right here in this town. That would, I would assume that would cause some kind of incident diplomatically.
Not
Yes.
I
really.
don't like this plan, Captain.
Why?
Laura, this does not involve you.
But like what I'm saying is that they don't really. If you were to go up and tell them that someone is plotting to kill a prince, they'd be like, yes, you, your grandfather, your mother, the whore you fucked last week, what's your point?
Crude but true.
All right, you know what? I'm just trying to think of a way to get a favor that, it might just be a little bit easier on us instead of actually going out and doing something. If someone were to, because if I was a Lord of Hell, I mean, of course, this is just me, and someone killed my progeny in their lands, and say I was, representing pride, I certainly would take great offense to that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if I was a lord not of pride, knowing that potentially a prince of pride may get assassinated, I'd probably want to avoid that from happening, because what's pride gonna do than unleash total retribution upon the lord who allowed that to happen in their territory?
You see, you're thinking about that wrong. That part right there. Think about it this way. If you provoke pride, it's a status thing. You're showing off. You're like, watch this. I killed the Prince of Pride in this territory. Pride has to do all this huffing and puffing. You're getting him to react. You're showing that you have power over him. Even if he masses a huge army and attacks you, you still come out on top. Especially if, because if he attacks you, he's committing forces. He destabilizes his territory. The other forces of the Lords of Sin will immediately attack him, and probably each other.
And if you do nothing, I still feel like that would. If the pride does nothing, that's still a slight against his prideful nature.
Yeah. So what he does is the bare minimum. He sends a very small token force to assassinate one of your princes.
As Nara looks around and sees a 3-man crew with suddenly a small squad that has immense power, and looks and realizes what this might be.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that into perspective as you look at Azurus, who's the captain of this prince's guard, but didn't come with any other knights besides himself, and then his tutor showed up, and now they've got an army of the tutor's like underlings that are semi powerful with mind things. That sounds like exactly what you just described.
Oh. Yeah. So, why are you asking me these questions if you already know the answers? Like, you guys are here to retributively assassinate a prince because the prince of his brother or whatever, I guess, cousin, bastard son, I don't know, got assassinated here. You're here to retributively assassinate someone else. That's just kind of what's going to happen. And it's been going on for centuries. It's been going on for longer than I've been alive. It's been going on since I point at the staff and don't elaborate.
So, my question to you is, Nara, do you owe anyone your loyalty besides yourself?
No.
I'm the descendant of a dragon lord.
You care not for the lords of these lands, and you're not beholden to them in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
As you see a soul coin kind of glimmering on her chest suddenly and then dissipate just as quickly.
And you would totally be fine of screwing over any of these lords if it meant getting out of Moors quicker.
Yeah, I have to get back to the material plane and declare my rightful claim over the as the Copper Dragon Lord.
Xerxes, as you hear this, remembering something like 100 or so years ago of the Monitor Dragon Civil War and the Copper Dragon and clans getting wiped out completely as you look at Nara.
I remember that conflict. Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, Floor Snap, shall we explain the whole truth?
Oh, see the thought, Gillard.
Alright.
Floor Snap says through like a little bit of his tears still from like the sadness of his sons failing him in every way.
Alright,
No, they brought it back. They
okay.
expressed intense individuality.
Alright,
There's
we're
no
getting there.
slottier trait than that.
That's true.
So, here's the deal, Nara. War there is not, in fact, a prince of hell.
Okay.
Now you tell me?
Well,
Laura says as he spits out a grape onto the ground.
Fine. No, I'm just a fighter.
so, yeah. There was a little, misidentification of the guards as we were coming into town. So we're currently playing off that Wara here is a noble. Allows us to move through towns without much interference. Glue out there knows that.
I do
And is
I imitate scales. Like I hold up both my hands. One hand goes up, one hand goes down, and I kind of do this back and forth. Like
I will say, as you look at War, he is like the spitting image of one of the most well-known princes amongst Pride, of like one of the ones who led the armies in the Second Unification War. Like he looks identical in every way. And his normal form, like his lionel form as he's standing, because of course his appearance doesn't change now. He looks with the horns now. He looks identical to the guy, like down to the muscle and fur.
So I get a weird look on my face, and then I say, I feel honored that you would include me in this. I understand that being pushed back by these slotty slayers is a pretty big stain on your pride and stuff like that. I understand that. And faking your death is natural when you are recovering. So, don't worry, your secret's safe with me. I tap the side of my nose.
Azura's Floor Step and War, you get the sense you're not convincing this dragon whatsoever.
Fine.
Actually,
How
from that, I
well
feel like
does the prince fight?
Huh?
That you know. Nara, how well does
I
the prince
believe
fight?
that sounded like Nara definitely understands the situation.
As Wara's like getting ready to show his skill, and like Azura's kind of stamps in between to like stop this showing, and like pushes Wara back a little bit, trying to get him to calm.
It's directly proportional to his pride. After having suffered a defeat to a lesser creature, I'm sure you're probably about as strong as I am now. And then once you rebuild your self-esteem and your confidence, you'll get significantly more powerful. Because, you probably have a magic item on you that gets stronger depending on the circumstances you find yourself in.
As you see Nara
Take
kind of
one swing at you.
like tap her finger, almost like as to show where the common items are found, usually amongst those lords, as like a ring.
Yeah.
You want me to take one swing at you so I can prove it?
Sure.
Wara, what are you doing? Stop.
As Azurus turns and just looks you in the face. Aurora.
I
As
don't
I
believe
draw my sword.
Wara.
I roll my neck and I say, let's spar. Maybe that'll help you get your self-esteem back, but don't cry to me if you lose, for I'm a dragon lord.
Wara, sheath your blade.
I pull the
hunker
sheath
down.
off my belt, I put it on my sword, and I still hold the sword.
I instead of having my claws out, I look at them for a second and then I poke them into little things so that way they're like corked.
Leather gloves. Okay, I got you.
Oh, I'm going to have so much fun.
Azurus kind of still face to face with War, keeping him back and in between the two of you.
Do you have something against Nara, Wara? I do not believe they were trying to insult your strength.
No, I'm trying to prove that I'm not the prince.
Wara, I think they know you're not the prince.
I don't think they do.
I think the nose on the finger on the nose, like the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, was kind of the oh yeah, you know.
Can you guys roll insight
Wait, what?
before
Sense
this
motive.
continues?
I guess, yeah. Because, I mean, the whole, like, movement's like, yes, you are definitely a prince who has been slighted, and now you're not as strong, but you will be when you get over. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hoy, hoy, hoy.
He's just reading the room, yeah. You can give me a sense motive if you'd like to see if you can tell, but you don't have to.
That would be, where's my sense motive again? 23.
Ooh, not bad.
Hold Nara
on.
was like,
What? Let's see what War's got. He's trying. Give him a second. He's running back for his computer. There he goes. Alright, 15. Alright, not bad. Okay, go ahead though, Nara.
I hate to say it, but Wara is correct. Nara genuinely still believes that this guy's the prince. She just thinks that instead of Wara being fully the prince, he got his ass beat and had all of his fucking gear stolen from him. So he's now just a guy.
On a retribution quest, I get you.
Yeah.
He's here looking for the guy who did it and he wants to kill him. I see you.
And
Okay.
then the
Oh my
winkly nudge part is not,
Yep.
oh yeah, he's totally still the prince. It's, he's not the prince because he's weak right now and he just has to use this to be safe in towns. And like, you guys are gonna do like the double teaming, like, she's thinking you're doing a double blind. Like, if you get caught out in a situation that the prince would need to handle, but because he's weak, you'd be like, wait, it was a big misunderstanding.
Azurus, I will
Thinks you're
add.
double blinding her.
I will add to
Other
this.
people.
In the perspective with it, I mean, this individual thinking Wara's fully, of course, as you've kind of caught on, thinking he's the prince might actually be more advantageous for selling the bluff. A little bit more to get you a ability to get into territories, because even with the territory right next to Pride there, at least from what you're understanding, and active current battle going on between the two, even if it is shadows, it seems that they are still openly letting each other's royalty walk through their borders. Warren might be very useful to let the people think he is 100%. Having one of your members who thinks that, well, why not?
Yep, Azurus will just give up on the matter. Alright, Wara. You know what? You're good. You're fine, man.
He
Just
pats
put the
War on
blade
the
away.
shoulders.
I get to swing?
No, you
Yes,
don't get the
yes.
swing. No,
Oh,
leave your strength for the battle. Leave your strength for the battlefield.
Nah.
oh, so I get to die again?
You've never died
Fine.
before. Yet. If anyone's gonna
I
kill
hate
you,
that
Wara,
three-letter word.
it's gonna be me because you keep putting yourself in danger.
You keep getting in it, and someone has to come and help you.
Come now, Wara.
Azurus kind of turns aside, like putting his hand on Wara's shoulder, and kind of looks up at Nara as he says this.
Alright. So,
And I turn to Floor Snap and I'm gonna say, "You're like really old. So, have you ever fought a Prince of Mars before?"
Oh no,
Ah,
they don't really come out.
yeah, that's fair.
Floor
Besides,
Snap,
demons are stronger.
Yeah.
you're a bit more familiar with, well, of course, these, the slotty kind. I know you've studied them quite a bit, at least whatever information is left. How long do you think it might be to get these guys into, moving about with a shape to go take on these, that mercenary band? Because I feel these guys would be the perfect counter to them.
Just like kind of like look them over and say, I mean, they have the power to do it now. Coordination, not so much.
Yes, of course. And it's the coordination part that I would like to get at least a little bit of training on. Do you?
Have you tried telling them to operate as a perfect cohesive unit? Each one covering each other's flaws and stuff like that, and moving
Floor-
out to take over Moors.
Floor Snap, you get a vision of these guys overwhelming you with perfect fighting condition just in your mind, kind of as a background image, going and kind of looking at them as if they might be capable of doing it.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Because as you
And
count...
also,
Go.
they're lawful creatures. You could probably make them promise not to attack you.
Problem with that
And-
is law is law until there's a justification.
Yeah.
And
They
I'm
are
a
law.
law
Just make them
justification.
into 4 3-man groups.
They are lawful creatures, beings of law. They actually might be more susceptible to law than most.
As Wara mentions that, they immediately separate into 3 groups of 4, almost just enough to where you notice their movement as their bodies kind of slide across the floor a little bit.
No, I meant
like-
4 3-man groups.
You watch as they shift once more.
Like sigh and like shake my head and just like scowl at my progeny and say, no. You stand alone so you can do what you need to do.
They seem to
Above
begin.
all else, we are individuals. If you cannot exist as an individual, you're dead to me.
They begin to cluster around once more.
I feel like clustering around it once more kind of is the exact opposite.
It's watching that.
It actually sounds like they're going directly against what you're saying right now.
See, watch
It's more chaotic. I see it as more like when they're clustering around, it's more chaotic. They're just habitually, occasionally connecting with each other and disconnecting instead of regimenting.
I don't know, Florstep. I think maybe trying to treat them as, a being such as yourself might not be the best. Maybe playing to more of their lawful side might result in, better results.
Also means
Well, he's
that they're going to try and get rid of us.
He's a chaos dragon. Like, he doesn't. Like, why would he?
Well, yeah, if you're trying to teach a lawful being into more of a chaotic standpoint, that doesn't exactly, mesh well.
I mean, it depends, because there is always the philosophy of the path of the enemy, where you kind of integrate some of the enemy into yourself to become stronger.
Possible, but we're going up against creatures that really like fighting chaos.
Yeah, they're
So
not going
adding-
to become chaotic overnight.
Also, like,
Making them more chaotic will make the enemy stronger against them.
Even if I made them chaos, their essence isn't chaos. There's a big difference.
In this realm, who knows what will happen? They're still neutral. You never know what could happen. I'd say until we get these guys dealt with, I think treating them as a cohesive force is the best. Letting them run amok might not be the best idea. Individuality is important, but team-based tactics is also a very important thing when you're working as a part of a team. You can have individuality in a team.
As that you watch as the bodies just lay down, confused about what they're supposed to do after Azurus just laid out a lot of orders, and they do not seem to understand as they just kind of lay on each other.
This was not me giving them.
Oh, well, they understood it as such, to make very clear.
I'm gonna look over at Captain Azurus' new cohort, aka Vicaret. And so Nara makes eye contact with Vicaret and then looks back and says, you know, if the opponents that we're fighting are pure lawful creatures, we could just use. Turns and looks back at Vicaret. Vicaret says, oh, for fuck's sake. Circle of protection against law. That staff can do that. Fucking God. And then Vicaret goes back into her room. Pointing at Nara's staff.
Uh-huh.
Well, why didn't you say that sooner, Nara?
I didn't. What do you? I don't know what a circle of projection is. Protection. It's protection.
As the two start arguing and as you lot get into plan, Azurus kind of look at that. Sorry, Azurus, go ahead. Like, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that was just me sighing.
Oh.
So definitely we could put a circle of protection of law around Floorsnap.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't be susceptible to the lawful creatures. Yeah.
That only works if they're summoned. They're kind of naturally here. It would help protect, but that doesn't stop them from touching me. Like, as normally kind of does.
Floorsnap feels one of their hands suddenly touching him.
Well, it definitely would help, yeah.
So magic circles in.
Yes.
Hold on, against.
Yeah.
All creatures gain the.
As Floorsnap quickly shrugs off the very laying down individual.
Well, I guess that only really depends if they do lawful damage, because I believe it's protection against just lawful creatures. It doesn't they can be summoned or they don't have to be, right?
It's effectively just an AOE version of protection versus alignment.
Yeah.
The protection versus alignment, a caveat against touching, only works against summoned creatures' natural attacks, and these wouldn't be summoned creatures. It still would give a bonus to AC, but it doesn't help in any way against them just outright hitting me.
Or mind thrusting him to death.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
More of the issue is the fact that that's what, as they've shown so far, they're willing to do.
Alright, so circle of protection against, lawful might not do anything, at least majorly, to protect our dear Floorsnap here.
As you kind of begin to plan and think of what you want to do, kind of looking about the group, you guys kind of settle into it. Now Nara somewhat fully into the grasp of the situation, what's going on, and now a plan beginning to hatch as you decide to take on these mercenaries far into the deep sands. Join us next time as this party begins their adventure, hopefully heading that direction, a plan in mind as they spend the next day kind of heading around town, gathering what information they can and getting ready to, in theory, deal with what the oncoming mercenary corps. With that, we thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and that's where we'll end today's session.